Fuck. Hello and welcome to third episode of Evie and the Robot, where last week we covered the first-ish half of Doctor Who Series 1, and we started through because it was getting late and, well, as you'll see, the latter half is where the heavy hitters of that series are, and we figured that deserves its own episode, and also for convenience.
Yeah, and there's also the Christmas special that.
Yeah, and the Christmas special, yeah. Because there's a whole debacle on where the Christmas specials really fit. Like, it's like they're sort of filmed as like part of the next series, but also like often they feel like they're the epilogue to the previous series. Like, especially in series one case, it feels less like an episode of series two and more like just a cap on series one per se.
It's kind of cool since, well, uh, what's his name? David Eccleston didn't get really like a
David
Christmas special.
Eccleston.
Fuck.
David
No!
Eccleston.
uh, Eccleston didn't get like his own Christmas special. Um, he, like, he did get like a sort of Christmas special in his own way.
You got a Christmas episode, not necessarily a special because it's not an hour long, but
That's true. It's not like an hour long, but it it did kind of fit into the Christmassy theme. Similar, like it does feel like more like a Christmas episode where the other Christmas, like the Christmas specials.
these Christmas specials are more like just episodes that are set at Christmas, but not necessarily like all that Christmassy. There is a couple like his series four one is very sort of Christmassy and how it's where it's set and all that. I won't give that away as we still haven't started series four yet.
Yeah, like they do feel more like Christmas adventures. Like it.
Yeah, that's a good sort of for not necessarily like not like for like all the TV shows and that, where like the Christmas special is all like, oh, it's the family revolving around Christmas. More or less, it's just something that happens at Christmas.
Yeah, like the Titanic one where it's just like, oh, this is something that.
Yeah, like I think like the sort of vibe for that is that like it's meant to be the Poseidon adventure in space on the Titanic. Because like I'm not sure if this is the exact mindset, but like those sort of films, like them, always play at Christmas around these times of year, and it does give you that kind of Christmassy vibe. It especially if you watch them at that time of year. I don't know, like some films, despite not literally being film released at Christmas or even set at Christmas, it just sort of reminds you of winter and Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. It's uh,
Like
especially like for
not
some reason the Titanic gives me vibes of the Chris of a Christmas special, like when they were doing the Titanic thing. They somehow made it into a very Christmassy vibe. I guess it was just the decorations and decor around, but it for some reason now, whenever I think of the Titanic, it's either the thing that happened way back like 100 years ago or Christmas.
mm. And plus, Moffat does have a special where like it's not necessarily really Christmassy, but like I don't even think the whole thing is set at Christmas. Like it's his 2016 one when there wasn't a series that year, and it's more or less it's mainly inspired by the Christopher Reeve Superman films because he said they were always on at Christmas. And he like wanted to do a special in that sort of style and have it based around a superhero in the Doctor Who universe, and it's fun and all that. Like there's very few bad Christmas specials. Like there's maybe one or two that I'd say are like outright bad.
Would we say that the Jodie Whittaker Christmas specials are like the bad ones, or
She doesn't have Christmas specials.
oh, does she not?
She ha- she has she's New Year's specials.
Uh, why? The
It was a change Chris Chibnall made. It was like, I don't know, maybe it was like he wanted to be more inclusive because not everyone celebrates Christmas, but then like you're doing it on New Year's Day when everyone is hungover and absolutely hanging out their arse, so they're not gonna sit around and watch Doctor Who.
yeah, and like it's kind of the thing where like not everyone's like celebrates a specific holiday because like some people celebrate like Chinese New Year instead, and some people just it it's not exactly something that like not everyone celebrates a holiday. It's just kind of like a tradition that everyone kind of does. So being like, well,
Yeah, it's like plus like it's Doctor Who. Like it's spent how many years? Like it's spent like 30, 12-ish years. Yeah, 12-ish, 13-ish years doing Christmas specials, and like it it just became a thing, like it became a Christmas tradition.
yeah, exactly.
Like
If it ain't broke,
it's
then
it's
don't
why
fix
it's
it.
why it's so good to have the Christmas specials back. And like we have one this year, and it's being written by Stephen Moffat. Yes.
Oh, we're gonna have we're gonna have a Moffat episode
Yeah,
with
yeah, we have a
Shuji
Moffat.
actually.
Yeah, we have a Moffat episode later, like in a few days, which is apparently one of his best yet, and he's doing the Christmas special, which he was always next freaking level at. Like we are eating good, and I should add, Robot hasn't seen the new series, but he's gonna get to them the long way round.
Yeah, I fortunately I'm not doing it with watching old Who and then watching new Who and then watching new Who. I'm
Yeah, like, you mentioned on like I think it was like in one of the ecom chats that the person you're watching them with said like you had to watch all of Classic Who and I think you mentioned like at least a good chunk of Big Finish in the audiobooks, and pretty much me, Sky, and Jeb all agreed you will be dead before you even see an episode written after 1989.
yeah, I kind of had no idea what I was like signing myself up for. I was just like, yeah, well, I've got nothing really like else to do, so I guess I'll just do all of Doctor Who.
It's like when we joke that Doctor Who is British One Piece, we're not kidding. This thing is long, especially when you take into account the expanded universe, which is like Jesus.
Yeah, I'm someone who like I I like doing watching long shit for fun. Like I recently started binging One Piece. Fucking long show. People weren't kidding when they said it was long. It's really long, but like I've recently started fucking Dragon Ball, and there's a lot of problematic stuff. Like I think there was blackface in one of the episodes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it hasn't exactly aged well, but it's I've heard it's a classic like series, so I'm gonna try and move past it and see like how much better it gets. But with Doctor Who, there isn't really well, there is some problematic stuff like early on in like the old show. Like I think there's like I think there was one episode.
Yeah, like very sort of famously, I think it was in the original Celestial Toymaker story, they straight up drop the N word
Oh,
and the hard R N word because like it was an old nursery rhyme. It was like a the eeny meeny miny mo catch a tiger by the toe, that sort of thing.
oh, oh, oh! I see where I see where you're going with that. So
And plus that's special in general. And I'm not sure if this is right or not because like there's a bit of information misinformation, but like the costume of the original Toymaker was like it was reused from like the Marco Polo story, and like it
oh,
was, it was given to you know a very pasty white dude.
oh, oh
And
no.
plus, apparently, even the word celestial means like it's like an outdated Chinese term. I think I'm not sure, but like using it and apparently the accent Michael Goff uses in that special is like it might be like an offensive accent, but we're not so certain because like you can never tell with the quality of old stuff. So like but like it's why like in the it's why in the '60s they made the toy maker a casual racist.
Um, Doctor Doctor Who's greatest arch enemy yet. I I haven't seen any like episodes revolving around the toy maker, although I have seen like a clip.
You can't because there's only one episode of surviving from his classic story.
Oh shit! Really? Do they not have like any of the audio? Um.
No, they have the audio because there's an animation for it coming out later this year, which looks gay. But the final episode survives, which is where all the clips come out. It's where the clip of the first Doctor saying like, "Oh, they'll meet again in another time," and like that's where everyone was thinking, "Oh my God, it's 58 years in the making."
This has been a sequel that's been planned ever since the beginning.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the Toymaker was supposed to come back. Like he was always been planned. Like during Colin Baker's era, there was a planned story where he was gonna like I don't know take over Blackpool, and they
Oh,
did a Big Finish audio like recreating it, and he was always supposed to come back. Like he's come back multiple times in Big Finish. There's a Big Finish audio coming out now where the fourth Doctor meets the Toymaker, and it contradicts the 60 because it does the whole we never met until that last encounter, and it's one of the many unfortunate things of recording 5 years in advance.
oh god. It's kind of
It's because it's Tom Baker's like he's like 90. You have to kind of record as many as you can as early as you can because it no offense to the man, but like he's 90.
it is kind of like an unfortunate thing, like what happened with the Agents of Shield, like and when Endgame.
Yeah, I'm still not fucking over that. How for season six, for those who don't know, the first five-ish seasons of Angel Seal are canon to the MCU. Like, well, canon, one-way street canon, because Kevin Feige just wasn't paying any attention to it. So season five ends, and then season six, they say it's a 1 year time jump because the writers weren't told what would happen in Endgame, so they just had to guess. So they were like, all right, I'm sure things will be wrapped up like a year from now. And then the 5 year time jump happened in Endgame. So now, and the season six very clearly doesn't take place during the blip, and it doesn't take, and it just doesn't work. So like, you kind of just have to say season six and season seven are like just not canon because Kevin Feige didn't say what would happen during Endgame. Like, it
Yeah,
just,
wasn't it because of like the Russos not wanting to like just wanting to keep it
yeah,
under
they didn't want
wraps?
anything. They wanted it locked down, secret, and Kevin Feige, not really caring about the TV department, was like, yeah, sure, we'll not tell them. Who cares about Agents of Shield anyway? Even though it's better than the whole MCU.
it's it's kind of unfortunate since like it's not even their fault why season
Yeah,
6.
like season six is like probably like the weakest season, but like purely because of that, because thanks to that, it just doesn't quite work or something. I'd have to rewatch it. Like I'm fairly certain and Jay would shoot me for saying anything bad about Agents of Shield.
Yeah, like I binged the show like a few months back because I think I asked either Sky or Jib. I was like should like something like should I watch Agents of Shield or something like that, and they're like yes, you should definitely start it.
Yeah, they basically convinced me. Like I would take like the longest gap between watching it because like it was just a show I watched on the side. And like every time I watched it, I was like, "Oh my God, I love this show so much! It's the best thing ever." Then I stopped watching for a month.
It it it's kind of unfortunate since like Mo- some MCU things aren't even canon anymore, even though they kind of should be because they're kind of awesome. But the the MCU is really picky for some reason about uh, canon shit. especially
Yeah,
the
it's just, it's why I at least like Doctor Who in that they admit that their canon is already fucked. So it's like everything is canon, but also nothing is canon. Like
yeah.
Like they have a line in the 60th where the toy maker says, "I made a jigsaw out of your history. Do you like it?" And it's like, and that's basically the show saying none of it fits together, but also it's all canon in a way. So it's like just enjoy.
Yeah, it's kind of one of
It's
those
like
things
it's
where
like
it's
like with Big Finish. Like I wouldn't say everything with it is canon, but like you can pick and choose from it. Because like if you don't experience Big Finish, you're robbing yourself of the Eighth Doctor and the Sixth Doctor. Like you can't. Those are mandatory if you want to get into like Big Finish and that, and like experience the wider universe and that. And also has some good time war stuff that they explore. So like, it's not like you can just sort of pick and choose from canon because like, for instance, the Human Nature story from series three that's based on a book. But like you could sort of argue that like both are canon because like in universe it was a case of like the time war like messed up the universe so much that it wiped out timelines and created new ones, and like you can just see like, oh, that was wiped from canon, but it's still kind of canon. So it's like it's a time travel show. Of course, this shit's gonna happen.
yeah, exactly. Like with Doctor Who, whenever I watch it, I'm less concerned about like there being any issues. Like it's supposed to be like a fun show. You're not really supposed to think about it that much. It's more about the journey that you're on than more than anything. Especially like in this like episode like no, that's Father's Day. Like in Father's Day where they have like these reapers show up and it's like
I have a was about like if any paradoxes or anything happen, and they show up to try and fix it or something, or like destroy the sort of little parallel timelines created, and they never show up again.
yeah, exactly. It's
Like it's just a case of like probably either writers forgetting or a case of like they don't really want to account for it or something like that. It's like with Doctor Who, it's like, oh, you have to account for this, you have to account for this, you have to account for this, and like as RTD sort of said with the 60th, the more you say you can't do that, the more he's like, I want to do it.
yeah, exactly. I suppose we should uh like talk about
We should get on with the season. This was just a pre-ramble, just to get back into the swing of things.
yeah, I completely forgot that we were covering season 1 for a second. So I guess the episode that we're on is the long game, right? Because we finished it off with
Because
Dalek.
we finished Dalek last time, and this episode like leads off right from that one because we have the temporary third companion in the form of Adam, the little twerp.
Adam's a really weird one. I don't really remember him that like even rewatching him, I don't really remember him that well. He kind of gets he's kind of like a foil to everyone. He's kind of just he kind of just ruins things for everyone.
Like the whole sort of point is that he's like a failed companion, like because the general sort of thing with Rose is she's the audience surrogate, like anyone can be her. It's meant to be like, oh, she could be just like you. She is just like you. She's this ordinary person. That means anyone can be the companion. That sort of thing. Like the whole Spider-Man, anyone can wear the mask sort of thing.
Yeah, with uh,
But Adam is supposed to represent like, but there's also some people who really shouldn't be a companion.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Just because you can wear the mask doesn't mean you're not an asshole at the same time, and
It's
that's
like
Adam.
just because you can be the companion doesn't mean you should be the companion.
Yeah, it's I have no idea like who the companion in Whitaker's era is, but I hope they're not as bad as Adam because I don't think I could
The
survive.
thing is, Adam was deliberately shitty, whereas
Oh,
these ones would just, whereas uh, Yaz, Graham, Ryan, and Dan were all just they just exist. They're nothing. They're nothing except for Ryan. I just despise Ryan.
Oh, so they're just like, instead of them being like, shit, they're just kind of nothing. That
Yeah, like especially with like Graham and Dan, who are like the two sort of semi-standout companions, and that's only because Bradley Walsh plays Graham and John Bishop plays Dan.
oh yeah, I
Wait, do you know who do you know who Bradley Walsh is?
I heard of him very briefly.
Do you have the chase over there?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I have the chase over here.
As in like, but was it? But the game show where like
You guess the
it's like
question.
someone answering questions
Yeah.
and the chase he hosts that. Like he's a national treasure over here.
Oh, oh. So he was a companion. That's really I.
Yeah, like he was like the one sort of consistently neat-ish part of like the first two series before he left.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. Since I, 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 d- I mean, I should have expected that since they do like have these really unique actors on board. Like they had Andrew Garfield, and it's, speaking of which, they have Simon Pegg this episode. I
Mm.
th-
It's like with that, it's like they got well that was all before they were really famous. Whereas
yeah.
this was like Bradley Walsh is like really freaking famous. Like he like does the show Breaking Dad with his son, where like they go camping around the world and that, and he like hosts a few other game shows, and he's had entire freaking documentaries about him made, and like he's a lovely guy, which is why it's a shame that his Doctor Who companion kind of sucks.
It is it is kind of cool though because like even if he was in like what is like considered by many to be like a bad season of television, you can at least say, "Hey, I was in Doctor Who." I feel like most of the people, from what I've seen, like most of the people, especially from like Jodie's era, like don't really regret being in it since they still had
Yeah,
like
like
fun.
that's one thing. Like I'm at least I don't like the era. Like that's one thing I'm very upset. I don't like the era, and chances are I'm never gonna like it. When we get to rewatch, it's probably gonna be pain to get through. But like, I'm happy that the actors had a good time. Like like I'm happy that they all had a good time. I'm happy that Jodie got to be the Doctor and like put her mark on the series. And same with like every other actor. Like I'm happy for them. It's
Yeah,
just I wish they would give them get better material, but also like they had their and who am I to judge?
yeah. It's one thing for like the scripts to be bad, but if the actors are having like a really bad time as well, then it's more of a question of like what's something to sacrifice, like the actors or the script. It's kind of like a Stanley Kubrick thing where like the actors are just going through absolute hell to get the scene done.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
from apart from series one, from what I've heard, everyone on Doctor Who has had like a really good time, apart from Eccleston. It,
yeah. And to be fair, Eccleston's reasons are very valid. Like we went over
yeah,
and
it's,
like his reasons for being angry and bitter about it are very valid. I'm gonna try, and not gonna try and be like, oh, you should get over it and that. But like, I do hope that he does. Like, I do really hope that he does because, and I hope that they hash things out. But like, sometimes it just doesn't happen. Sometimes things just don't go too well. It's just,
best
that's just the business.
best to let sleeping dogs lie, I suppose.
Mm.
But
Plus, like for not, I'm just more annoyed at the people at conventions who are constantly asking him when he's gonna come back, or if he'll come back, or what it'll take for him to come back, or what happened there. It's just like the man has made his point very clear. he'll only come back if Russell T Davies fucking dies.
It's like if Russell T Davies like gets shot in the head right in front of him, like he's he seems very bitter about him. Like I I I actually watched like a video at him at a convention. The guy seems he seems so mad about what happened. Like you can just kind of see it in his
Yeah,
eyes.
just like and like it's especially awkward when Billy Piper, who had a relatively fine experience on set and like really has high praise for Russell, is just sat there like just really awkward, just spitting on her drink.
Yeah, because like his reasoning is valid. Like British Tom Cruise being a bit of a bit of a
Yeah,
weirdo.
like that was apparently one of the reasons him and Noel Clark, like he kind of suspected that like they were weird and like they didn't really do anything about it that much.
Yeah,
That's one of the major criticisms I have. Like apparently John Barrowman was reprimanded by Julie Gardner, but like it's still like really joked about. Like even in the parody song that they did at the end of their era to like cap off like everything that happened, they even joke about it in that, which is just
yeah,
uh, it's like I'm so glad that like he's not coming back to the show like ever. Like
yeah. I
like like he's shot his chance so many times.
I do really wish for Simon Pegg to come back in this show because
Oh yeah, like not as the character he has in this episode, but like I just want him in it in general,
yeah, I
like
think
just in it in some capacity.
the character he plays, the editor, doesn't he like die at the end?
Yeah, he dies. Like originally he was supposed to be Rose's dad, but like the scheduling couldn't quite work out.
That would have been so cool. That I mean, I would have really liked for him to get more screen time because he does a really good job in this episode. I can't remember if this is before he was like really famous, like popped
This
off.
was before. This was wait. Shaun of the Dead was 2004, I
Yeah, and
think.
this was 2000.
Because sort of very famously, Edgar Wright was actually supposed to direct some of Series 1, but he couldn't
Oh,
because he was doing the promotional block for Shaun of the Dead. So if he hadn't done Shaun of the Dead, he probably would have gone on to direct Doctor Who and like become like maybe a consistent director, which means like a lot of his films wouldn't have happened, but also he would be directing Doctor Who. So
you know,
it's like
some things are worthy sacrifice. So
it's like and plus like a lot of actors who were in like the Cornetto trilogy have actually been in Doctor Who. Like uh, for instance, Sean's mum is Harriet Jones Prime Minister.
it's, that has Nick Frost been in? Like
He is in it. He does show up and in a really fucking good role. I won't spoil it because it is one. It's one of the best freaking stunt castings the show has done, and not in like it's such a big star like they just did for Neil Patrick Harris and Jinx Monsoon. I mean in like a really freaking just in like a really just freaking meta funny way. Like I won't spoil it because it's a good few series away. It's more than like um, it's like five-ish series away, but like it's a really good surprise.
I'm really excited because like Simon Pegg already off the bat is like I think this episode is in my high like in my good graces because of
Yeah,
Simon
like
Pegg.
this episode is well, for this episode is probably like one of the weaker ones of series one, but like
Yeah.
it's just cool to have Simon Pegg in it, and plus the fact that he do you know what Doctor Who Confidential is?
I don't believe so.
It was like a behind the scenes sort of show. Like it would air like on like BBC Three after the episode aired, and then like it would go into like the making of like some of the stuff, and he narrated all of series one for that show.
Oh really? Oh that oh
Yeah,
that's really cool. I
and I actually really recommend watching Confidential, not just because like of the really great insight, but because of how it's such a freaky view into early 2000s British culture. Like the song choices and the sudden random fan cams that they do. Like the editors and song pickers for that show needed a raise, especially with how many songs by the Killers they used. Because the first freaking song they used for Rules is fucking Jenny was a friend of mine, and like all I can say is whoever picks the song, I want to marry you.
That I I think whoever picks like the pop songs, in in Doctor Who like needs a raise. Like whoever picked Toxic for episode 2, the is truly like some beyond human
Like,
evolution.
yeah, like apparently like in the new in in Space Babies, the first episode of the new season, there was supposed to be a scene where 15 like plays push the button by the Sugar Baby song you because you can tell because he walks over to the jukebox but suddenly it cuts away, and for every episode he repeats the phrase push the button.
I
And like
love this
that would
British
have been
show.
so cool. That's such a British 2000 song, but like I guess it's because like the next episode might have been because like is very musical heavy. They didn't want it to be too musically compressed for the premiere, but also like maybe they didn't get the rights. But also it's just funny that like RTD still like a documentary saying like, oh, there's a scene where 15 like picks the first song from his jukebox, and it's a very big scene, and then they cut the fucking scene out.
I'm I'm so sad about that. That would have been so funny. Did they?
Don't worry, we'll get more songs. Like I think like there are a few songs confirmed like to reappear. Like I think Toxic and what was it, Voodoo Child? I think might show up again
Oh, in the new show.
in the new series. I think.
Oh, that's so cool. They're still sticking with the the really dated 2000s music. I'm so ready for the new show. That's if they have the dated music along with Shooty, that that would just be perfect. It, like this show is really knows the thing of if it ain't broke then don't fix it, because like
Well, yeah, because that's the fucking thing. Because like side tangent, but on Doctor Who Twitter, everyone's like really adamant that the show needs to change, that the writers need to change, that this and this and this needs to change. But like, it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like everyone's the show is like starting to set up stuff that'll happen later. So it was just doing on the nose teasers that you've seen is was in the first couple series, was in the first few series. Like when looking back, the teasers were very on the nose.
yeah, I don't.
And like that's just that it's just the formula that works, you know. Like it works to like get both casuals and more seasoned fans in, and like it works. And yet everyone's like, no, it needs to change. And
I
yet when you do change something, they're like, no, don't change that. Just do that.
I like don't understand. So it's like from what I've heard, they aren't repeating plot lines. Like they're just Doctor Who, in my mind, is going on galaxy adventures. You go to different periods on Earth. You go to different planets. You go to different portions in space, and you have a lot of fun. And that's all Doctor Who. Like that should be like how you write a Doctor Who story. Don't do don't change it up. Just focus on having a fun adventure. And from what I've seen on the trailers, they go to a fucking dinosaur planet. They go.
Like that's the first scene of this first scene of Space Marine. It's the first scene of Ruby traveling in the TARDIS where they go back 65 million years. Like
Yeah,
she's super excited that there's dinosaurs and you can go, yes, my autistic Northern Queen.
yeah. They see the dinosaurs. Like what? I okay. Like in Doctor Who, I I've kind of always wanted them to go to a dinosaur planet, or at least like travel back 65 million years to see the dinosaurs, because did they in the old show? Did we see any sign of like dinosaurs? I think we saw like
There's
alienish.
a few dinosaur episodes. Like
Yeah.
there's an episode in John Pertwee's era called, Invasion of the Dinosaurs. But then but it's still set in modern day, and there's an episode in Capaldi's era where they accidentally bring a dinosaur to Victorian times because it choked on the TARDIS.
I, I just seeing like I I haven't seen the episodes yet, but from the looks of it, it looks absolutely gorgeous. And I mean, this is what Doctor Who is about. The I think something that I might have a little complaint about with series 1 is that since the budget is really low, they can't really utilize the whole like space adventures thing to their fullest potential. Most of the things are like,
With series one, they never leave Earth's orbit.
yeah, it's like space shuttle or back to Earth or space shuttle. It's never really like, oh, let's go to this planet, or
I guess it's because because perception of Doctor Who was as the weird shit sci-fi show in the British culture. Like in the 90s, that was sort of it's that was what it was seen as. So you kind of had to like make it sort of grounded and really sell itself before you go for an alien planet, which is the
yeah,
first episode of series two, and
oh
then
yeah,
like you get Impossible Planet, which is like its first proper alien planet sort of thing, because like New Earth is just well, New Earth.
that I do really like where they go like series 2, while I prefer like series 1 over series 2, but like I still really like series 2. Series 2 has a lot. The thing is with series 2 is that it's something that I really like about Doctor Who, but like the quality of season 2 is really varying, because you could have like Love and Monsters is like in season 2, right? It,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
You could have an episode like that and then immediately have like one of the most existentially like crazy episodes you'll ever see. And like while I well, I was about to say while I like Love and Monsters, but I don't think I like Love and Monsters. Like I
Don't say that. Doctor Who Twitter will graph you because it's fun, it's camp, but no, it's not.
I
It's shit.
I
It's
would have
shit. Okay.
I would have
It's crap.
I would have been fine with it if it wasn't for the ending where she gets turned into a fucking stone tablet, and like, don't they make out or something? It's so weird.
Yeah, he says we even have a bit of a love life.
Yeah,
And all I can say is there's only one way, there's only two
there's only
ways you can
one
have a
way.
love life.
There's
There's
only
only, well, two ways. There's kissing, and then there's
the other thing. That sounds miserable. It sounds like the way she looks and
like,
everything. I'm like, oh god.
I don't want to be rude because the actress is a fine looking woman, but when she's a slab at that point, is it worth it?
Is it?
Like, is it really worth it?
Yeah, like if you had the chance to like revive someone, but they'd be in the form of an ancient stone tablet, and their face just looks so horrifying, I don't think it'd be worth it. But that's just me. I mean, at least in like in this episode, like the game show. No, the game show episodes later, but like they at least when like someone dies, they don't really like that. It how do I describe it? When
It
someone
has the
dies,
weight behind it.
yeah, when someone dies in Love and Monsters, it feels weird because like they the girl is the only one who gets revived, right? Everyone else kind of fucking dies, which
Uh,
it's an
And it's just
interesting episode. It's that's all I'll say for now.
it was an experiment that failed, is what we'll say.
Yeah,
It failed. It fell on its face and died.
it definitely was something. I mean,
And
the,
especially it being back to back with freaking was it back to back with Fear Her?
I believe so. I'll have to like.
Yeah, I think so. But like I know they were in the latter half of the season, which is usually when like shit gets real. Like that's when like shit gets dark and gets like the quality goes up really high and that. It's like just it goes down and then up, no down, and then up again.
One thing that I really like about Doctor Who, and it's explored in the long game, is like I mean it's explored in practically every episode, but it's it's very uh at times unforgivingly leftist. Like in this episode there's literally fucking levels to to like how well off you are on the on the hierarchy of like just class, and it's so like unsubtle that I kind of love it, where it's like, oh,
Yeah, like
I'm trying to
especially
move up to this level.
yeah, RTD's era in particular is it's very brutally leftist. Like you can very much tell what his politics are. Like despite the badly aged transmit of End of the World, that whole episode is basically just one great big eat the rich sort of thing.
Yeah, because like everyone's trying to work to go to this level, which is kind of like the rat race in real life to like try and become like rich, to try and like be your own person and run your own business, be a billionaire basically. But like once you actually like get to that level, you're practically like actually eaten up by a fucking monster called the Jagrafess. Like it
Who,
basic.
if I'm not, if like I'm gonna say, but this might be true, it might not be, but I was gonna say he might be based on Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't be fucking surprised. I wouldn't even be surprised. Like,
I mean, he's a great big slob that lives at the top of the entertainment food chain. It's either him or Rupert Murdoch.
I mean, either way, like I love how back in the day everyone was like, yeah, Harvey Weinstein's a bit of a cunt. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like the I will say the 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 one really weird the one really fucking hilarious thing is when he tried defending his actions by coming out as gay. he, he was like, "Oh no, I couldn't have done this. I'm gay after all. Like I'm not a bad person." Or was that Kevin
Wasn't
Spacey?
that Kevin Spacey?
That must, yeah, I think that was Kevin Spacey. Fuck, I'm getting my weirdos confused, but
Yeah,
like,
I doubt Kevin Spacey has been Doctor Who. Not gonna lie.
yeah, I don't think he had. Maybe I mean I definitely know he's been in a Kevin like in a Edgar Wright project, but definitely not on a Doctor Who project. I uh, but the whole like metaphor of like getting eaten up by the system, like literally getting eaten up by the system, I is something like I dearly love it. I like it's not the best episode in the series, but
Yeah,
it's a fun one.
it's not God, but it's definitely one of the worst of the series.
Yeah, it's definitely
Like,
like
like, and like it does have some good elements, like Simon Pegg and like you said, like the whole metaphor of like society and it's like society and like trying to climb up that ladder. And next thing you know, like it's like, oop, now you're a slave and you're gonna die.
yeah, like there is no winning in that system. Like you're just kind of like it to be rich. You not only have to be lucky, but you also have to be a big piece of shit to be rich, or at least as rich as they are, and the whole thing of like, I'm the one who got chosen to be up here. See you later, losers. And it's just like this really cold environment. I honestly love it. If it weren't for Simon Pegg, though, this episode would be a lot.
It would be a lot less memorable for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't like it as much. I would say like, I mean, there's nothing like inherently wrong with the episode. It's just more like it's just more like one of those things where at the end of the day I'm not really going to remember it. But if it wasn't for Simon Pegg, I remember everything a lot more clearly since Simon Pegg is in it. So,
Yeah, it's like Dalek. It's like Dalek two-parter in series three. Like it's a fine two-parter, but I mainly remember it because Andrew Garfield is in it.
yeah, it's a fine two-parter. Like, but I mainly remember it for the women.
Because I'm mainly looking at Andrew Garfield, not gonna lie, and really wishing he was. I'm not gonna finish that, but never mind.
Yeah, I'm looking at Andrew Garfield. I'm looking at the women and those really neat
Oh
outfits.
yeah. Oh, that fucking reminds me. I, I, I tweeted at you, but when I said before it, but like episode two of a new series, Devil's Call, which takes place in the '60s, it just really reiterates that retro clothing is hot.
I
And like when we get to that episode, it's just gonna be us sitting over, everyone in like the '60s clothing, like especially Ruby. Like, God, she slays in that episode.
I think it just goes to show that retro clothing, like it kind of looks good on anyone. I've been recently watching this show called Mad Men, and the clothing on like the women is just wow. I'm just like women were treated so fucking poorly back in those days, but I mean I don't it the that I'm kind of speechless thinking about like yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think I had the same reaction when I watched Last Night in Soho. Like,
Yeah,
really great film, also scared the shit out of me and really fucked with me, but also for the entire thing, I was just like, I am so gay.
yeah, the Anya Taylor-Joy looks amazing in anything. It's impossible for her to look fucking terrible. Like if you've seen the Mad Max like Furiosa trailer, she like she looks amazing. Like I don't even know how to describe. I've been rewatching the Mad Max movies. Fucking crazy movies, by the way. It's like the first movie's like Fast and Furious, but set in Australia. It's it's really insane. So and the Queen's Gambit. Have you seen the Queen's Gambit on
I
Netflix?
have not.
Oh, uh, like the half the series is really interesting drama about chess, and the other half is just me looking at like Anya Taylor Joy, and her fashion is just I'm I'm fucking floored by her. But I, I need to stop simping for Anya Taylor Joy. Uh, okay, let me focus. All right, so the next episode. All right, the next episode is it's Father's Day, isn't it? It's not actually Father's Day today, but the next episode is Father's Day, right? Like if I've got my my listing right, let me check.
I think so, yeah, because
Yeah. All right. This episode's quite good, I'd say. Like I mean, it's easy to say like the quality of an episode, but like it is it is quite a good episode. Like
like,
the
I think it's the first one of the series that really plays with the idea of like it's a time travel show.
yeah
Not just
it
going back in time, but like messing with time, you know?
yeah it really firmly establishes like if you mess with time, bad shit will happen. Like nothing good comes from messing with time, which is what a lot of shows try to do, but none of them really do a great job at like establishing like consequences for their actions or anything. Whereas, uh, for example, like in this episode, like Rose literally comes into contact with herself, and she sets off like a paradox. And what ends up changing is that she ends up being the one who, uh, like is with her father when he died when he dies.
Yeah,
Sorry,
because in the start of the episode, Jackie is like showing young Rose like I guess like pictures of her dad and like giving and like saying like oh he died on his own and then like at the end of the episode it's changed to say like oh there was this young woman with him. No one knows who she was.
yeah, it's not like drastically changed to a point where it changes everything, but it is changed to the point where it does affect things and it does affect people's memories of what
It's like
happened.
um, it's the general sort of like time travel logic because like there's a lot of sort of things, but like the general sort of idea is that there's fixed points in time like that you can't change, but generally most of time is in flux. Like you can sort of change little things or like things can change, but like it won't ruin the rest of history, you know?
Exactly. I mean, like shows like I don't want to bring up CW, but like shows like the Flash where they tried to do the fucking time travel shit. It like they try and have lasting consequences, and then it's just kind of forgotten about like halfway into it. Whereas in this show, the consequences like while they might be like kind of small, they are quite lasting throughout the entire show, or at least like throughout like however long the companion is staying there for. Uh, like like uh, Rose is well, it, Rose is still like affected by her father's death, and that affects some of her
Yeah, yeah,
decision making.
because I actually watched the Confidential on it, but like it like it shows like the contrast between the Doctor and humans because she has to go and see her father well the day he died. Like he, all right, sure, and he doesn't think she's going to be going through hell watching that. And
Yeah,
like and she doesn't quite consider just how reckless and emotionally driven she'll be. It's like the fact that she fucks up time and he lashes out saying, "Oh, I did it again. I picked another stupid ape," because she thinks with her heart instead of with her logic. You know,
yeah. It is kind of like that. Like it's playing into those old doctors who are like very logic driven. They're very headstrong. They
it's like it's like the Doctor loves humanity even much as he was more like it, but he doesn't have very much patience for it.
he,
You know.
he yeah, he does love humanity, but sometimes he like especially in the old show, he sometimes acts like he's above people, like in a very like especially in the first Doctor.
Yeah, like there was a few bits where and Ian Chesterton was like criticizing him and like first Doctor was like, all right, get the fuck out then.
He was like, okay, see you the fuck later. He does kind of do that a lot throughout like the first series. Like he's just like people will criticize him or people will do something, and he's like, all right, you can fucking leave now.
Like that's how the show started. Like like he just kidnaps them because they're kind of mean to him and like would try to investigate shit.
Yeah, he's like, I fucking told you. I told you not to go. And they're like, we're just worried about, we're just worried about your
And
granddaughter.
the first Dalek story, they're like he wants to investigate the city and like everyone's like, no, we need to go home. And it's like,
But
but
adventure.
city. And then like and then then turns out that like the great big it's a great big convoluted plot because like they need a specific part but they forgot it and then he's like it wasn't my fault I just wanted to look at the city you don't look at me I'm just a little guy
And then they nearly die from radiation poisoning because the doctor really wanted to explore the city. I
and like even like the fourth Doctor is fairly impatient. Like there's a story in I think it's fairly early on with Sarah Jane where like she gets stuck in a vent and he's like berating her and you're too stupid to get out or something like that and like trying to egg her on and like trying to push her forward to get out, but like it's still like he's very alien, in like how like he's he's not human, like he doesn't quite operate on the same level as.
I I do like that in from what I can tell, each Doctor is kind of more connected to humanity in some way. Like the first Doctor, like he kind of doesn't understand. Like he kind of doesn't understand. The second Doctor, like he's a bit wacky, he's a bit weird, but he does really feel like he's more connected to Earth. Uh, like you can tell that like he has a love for it, and while he is really goofy and wacky, like he cares about people. That that's very clear. I like the evolution of the Doctor over the series because Christopher Eccleston, I got his name right this time. Christopher Christopher Eccleston, uh, like plays a really good Doctor who clearly cares about humanity, but is like a bit out of touch. And then that slowly evolves into someone who is still a little bit out of touch, but you can tell is a lot more connected to his environment. And I like how, and I'm interested to see how that progresses because Matt Smith, from what I've heard, is like great. He's a great Doctor, and I can't wait to see that evolution of the Doctor, especially Shooty. Shooty feels more like a like from what I've seen of the clips online, which is only like the promotional material. It looks like Shooty is just uh he feels more like a guy, but in a good way. Like you can tell that he's a lot more like he's a lot more experienced with humanity. He understands in some
Yeah,
way.
he's a lot more human. Like he's
Yeah.
not quite as human as 10, where like 10 adopted some of the worst bits of humanity, but like uh 15 is more like 15 is he's just generally more emotional, more open with his emotions, which is like a carryover from 14. He was like very open and emotional, and like whenever like he openly expressed his feelings, it was like, oh, I do that now. Okay.
Yeah, I really like how his hi like with the Doctor after the Time War and everything, like he's obviously in a lot of pain, even though like the Time Lords are kind of a bunch of pieces of shit. He still is like suffering from that. However, he doesn't really like understand like the grief that would cause, like going back in time, like seeing like how someone's loved one dies, and like how someone would try and stop that,
Yeah.
despite not thinking of the
It's why
consequences.
I see the Doctor as kind of an autistic coded character, but like because like he doesn't quite like he has a lot of traits of it, but I wouldn't. But like it's why like this take issue of straight up saying he's autistic because like just shows like he's an alien. He doesn't quite understand how humans work, how humans would react in a situation. Like
Yeah.
like he's an alien, so of course he's not going to understand how a human would react seeing their loved one die.
Oh, yeah. 1 second. Sorry, I'm back. But yeah, I really like I do like this episode a lot and how it deals with grief and everything, because everyone experiences grief in a different way, and I it's it, it is kind of sad seeing how Rose eventually has to let her father die, like let him go. I do like how it carries on like later on to the series, even though it is kind of bad later on when like I think like as we talked about like earlier on last episode, Rose kind of like tells the kid to like go back to the abusive father, despite that
Yeah, like that bit's in character for her because she obviously has major daddy issues. like and she like wouldn't be the person to just cast out like a father figure in that, like still could have been done better.
yeah, exactly, like it. I could see where you're going with it because like it's very in character for her, but also a little bit fucked up. It, but what can you do? The the person who wrote the episode already went back and was like, if I could change it, I would. Uh, but I think like
That happens a lot for sure, to be honest.
yeah, that's true. Like, well, what else should can we mention about Father's Day? I think
And well, I guess it's kind of cool that it's technically a period piece,
it
like
is
because it's set in the 80s.
that is true. I kind of didn't notice that watching through. Like if I mean if you do pay attention, it is like set in the 80s and everything. Uh, the show the episode is more focused on trying to be like trying to be more focused on the consequences of mess with time and the relationships with like how like Pete and Rose, because it is Pete Tyler, I believe. Like
Yeah, it's Pete Tyler.
Pete,
Like they say
Pete
in
Tyler.
next series, Pete's World.
Yeah, I think it's kind of sweet how they interact with each other. It's really sad though because of how it ends up being. In fact, I think it just fucks up Rose even more, like when she interacts with her father and everything, because
Mm.
it's just not
Also,
a good time
mm.
for her.
It's also like I think in the beginning, like because I watched the confidentials it's a bit fresh in my memory. But like in the start, like Jackie like gives Rose as positive a view of her dad as she could because like she never knew him, and like you want to view your dead dad as a hero, and like it's a really good person when like she actually sees what he was like and what their relationship was really tenuous, and like he wasn't all that great.
Yeah,
I think it said he might have cheated or like was
I think he did cheat.
some it was like with a secretary or something, or like
Yeah, that that dynamic definitely
but then like
gets. Oh, sorry, you go.
yeah, yeah, I was gonna say like so like we see that he wasn't perfect, and like he like Jackie constantly was saying like, "Oh, you're a loser. You're this. We're just gonna die poor and all that shit and all that." And like it shows like it wasn't as like Jackie sort of like the Doctor in Gridlock with when he talked about Gallifrey. She has like very rose tinted glasses on what he was like.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at least we get the origin story for Jackie and her wanting compensation and everything. Like that's always very important. But it does get explored like later on in the show where in an alternate timeline, Jackie and Pete are just kind of pieces of shit in like in the alternate timeline that uh Rose and the Doctor go to. Like
Yeah, but like she was never born, but he's alive and like rich.
didn't they call their cat or like dog
Yeah,
Rose or something?
yeah, that dog was called Rose, and like for the whole thing, she's going, "Oh, Rose, where are you?" And then we find out it's the dog.
Yeah,
And
it's
there's a really great bit where like Rose and the Doctor see it, and he's just like, Sorry.
I do like how the Doctor reacts in some situations. Like, it could be super fucked up for one person, and the Doctor would just like find it so funny.
He just did that in like one of the newer episodes because like the plot of like Space Babies is that they land on this station, which is like I guess being ran by like babies who've had to keep it under control because the adults left, and they have a monster in the basement who is the bogeyman,
The
and
bogeyman.
they're all terrified. They're all terrified just hearing the name, and like they start crying, and like Ruby's like, no, no, fingers the bogeyman, and like trying to calm them down. And she said, no, that was just a. And then 15 just goes, Boogeyman! They'll start crying again. And then like he's wondering what it is, and he gets and he just plays the security camera again. They just pops up and scares them. And then he's like, I'm sorry, sorry. And like you can tell he let the intrusive thoughts win.
I do. I will say this. I do love a doctor who lets their intrusive thoughts win, where they just kind of fuck with people while they do their while they save humanity. They also just love to fuck with people a little bit. Like, like it happens with the with David Tennant's Doctor, where he kind of messes with people a little bit, especially Rose. Martha, he messes with in a more fucked up way. It's less of a fun way and more of a depressing way. Uh,
It's less of a fun way and more of a self-destructive way, because
yeah,
like the whole story of that is that he's not in a good place and like he can't really like he still has a hole in his heart that he can't fill yet because of rules and like
yeah,
he can't and Martha's trying to fill that hole but she can't and he doesn't want her to fill that it's just a messy situation but that's what makes it so good.
exactly. It like the whole conflict between it, like very, very good conflict. It's just a shame that she was like the first black companion. That
Yeah, it's just the whole it's just yeah the optics are not great. It's just if it's not great to say that a story would be better if a character was white,
yeah.
but it's just Martha, please come back for the new era. I need you and Shooty together, please.
Uh, uh, you know what? That would actually be kind of cool. Like Shooty with Martha, uh, how that like relationship gets re-explored all over again, and like you know how like since he's now over Rose and everything, they can actually have a proper adventure together because Martha was kind of done dirty, like just a little bit. Like,
Yeah, just a bit.
yeah, like I love Martha. But like, she turned into kind of a badass near the end of series 3. Like she helped stop the the basically the Doctor's arch nemesis, well, not exactly the Joker, but like the pretty close to him. But like that's a conversation for another time. We're not exactly there just yet.
Yeah,
Like
we're not even on series 2 yet, let alone series 4, series 3.
yeah, exactly. Um, I mean like I I would I guess like before we move on, I guess I'll say that the Reapers are pretty cool. Like as a consequence with missing with time, I wish we got to see them again. But you you know it's just Doctor Who stuff. Like if
It's
you
just
may I I am hoping that in the new series we might see them again, but like I think that would just cause more problems than anything if we did see them again. So I I guess it's uh, I guess it's only a good idea that kind of went to waste is the thing I would describe it as. So it's Reapers could be kind of cool. Like the name sounds badass in of itself, but like I think maybe the main reason I'm forgotten is that RTD might have thought that there wasn't much to do with them. Like I that's the only like I I don't want
Yeah.
to think that he
The,
forgot
the
about
the
them.
main sort of flaw of it is that they don't turn up. Like when the whole point is that they turn up when time goes all flimsy.
Yeah,
But outside of like what they do in this episode, it'd just be more of that.
yeah,
So like you can kind of get why they brought back,
yeah.
you know?
He kind of like there's not too much to do with them other than the ain't like I feel like they would be a cool foil, but not as like the main foil. You know, it would probably be like, oh, the like for example, the Doctor's arch nemesis is back, but also the Reapers are here as well. It'd be kind of like a crazy thing. There'd be more, like
Like it'd be a crazy thing for a cliffhanger, you know? Like
yeah,
you can just see that happen, and then that you know that again playing, and then it cuts to credits.
yeah, exactly. Like it'd be a cool cliffhanger to like end it on. It would be like there'd be cool side antagonists, but like as like a consequence, like as a main force for like messing with time. Like you know, I can see why he didn't like really include them uh moving forward since they're kind of. I mean, you could do it like you did with the Daleks, where you develop them a lot more and you turn them into like these full rounded creatures. But from the way I see it, it seems like RTD didn't really have many ideas going forth with them. But
It's like at this point it will just cause more problems because if you acknowledge them again, it just means,
you know,
well, where have they been for the past 20 years?
they've just been sleeping. they've just they've been in super time hibernation, and then, yeah, it would only cause more problems. It's better that they're just like a just a distant memory. But I mean that yeah, it is unfortunate. They are cool, but I can understand why they're not brought back again. Uh, which brings us the empty child is next. I think yeah, it's the empty child.
Yeah,
Where
the empty child with Dr. Dances, which is like,
gay.
I guess this is well, yeah, that, but also I guess this is probably like the most iconic sort of two-parter of
Yeah,
some of the early series in that. Like when people think of like the Ninth Doctor's era, they chances are they usually think of the empty child and the gas mask child are you my mummy? Mm.
I do think it is more iconic, which is weird because like usually like it would be like the bad wolf stuff because that's been like kind of foreshadowed throughout the entire series one, and it gets brought back a bit like in series two and series three, I believe. Like it's kind of like a reoccurring thing, but it is like rewatching the Empty Child duology. It is quite. Uh, I will say it's iconic. The I the Are You My Mummy thing gets a little bit annoying because it is just children like constantly asking, "Are you my mummy?"
Yeah, well, sometimes like when you have like these really sort of scary episodes, you gotta have like a line that sort of really sticks out and is iconic. Like you have,
Oh yeah,
I mean, the next series, Moffat's next sort of horror two-part thing has, "Hey, who turned out the lights?" and the most recent one in Wild Blue Yonder.
yeah. Like the the thing is with the Empty Child is that you can tell it's definitely a Stephen Moffat episode. Like it you can tell that his writing style and his charm like kind of oozes through this episode. I I do like that it's set in like the atmosphere of World War II. It's this we like people don't know what this thing is. It could be like an experiment gone wrong or something. Like we don't know what it is, but it it turns out it's just it's some weird it, it's some weird thing that happens to like wasn't it like dead people? Uh,
As we find out, it was like, as we find out, Captain Jack was like, he was chasing like, it was like, well, it was basically like a space ambulance. It's like, it's full
yeah.
of nanogenes that like
Oh,
he'll
that's
heal
right.
you up, and it came across like the dead body of a little a little boy with a gas mask on and like the scar across his hand. And
Yeah,
they had never seen humans before, so they just
they just
assumed
assumed.
that's what they all looked like.
Mm,
And so it healed him up by bringing him back to life, but
but
also like
kind of fucked
I
him
guess
up.
kept him recycling his final words and that, and also
Yeah,
like made him spread out and like spread like and heal everyone, because I guess that's what they assume a healthy human looks like and acts like. And he's
yeah,
like the general because it's a military ambulance.
yeah. I guess it is kind of the closest that we've gotten so far to like a Doctor Who zombie episode, where it's like, you know, everyone's spreading around the infection, like they're mumbling like the same shit. They're it is a really cool idea. You can kind of tell that it's based around like kind of zombies in a way, uh, which I really like. While I do think zombies are like really oversaturated in media, they can still be done pretty well. Uh, it's just that they aren't really done well anymore. When was the last time zombie media did something right? I think the
I don't know.
like
I don't really consume that much zombie media.
yeah, like I guess I'll take a wild guess. I guess I'd say Train to Busan. If like even then, it's like more or less like it was alright. But yeah, the Empty Child is I would say, and the Doctor Dances are like both really iconic episodes. I like unfortunately it does introduce the character of British Tom Cruise, or knockoff Tom Cruise as I like to call him. That you know that the, the the character that you just have to ignore that the actor was kind of a piece of shit behind the scenes and more or less focus on how he is, which, to be fair, I do kind of like the character of Captain Jack, uh, despite
Yeah, he's a good character. Like, and from what I've heard, Torchwood is pretty good with him as well. But it's just a case of like the actor just slightly overshadow it. But like at this point, I don't. It's like, yeah, he sucks, but like the character's great. So it's like, what more else is there to say?
yeah, I
Other
do.
than he shouldn't come back.
Oh yeah,
Captain Jack should be retired, basically.
his story, it's done. We don't need to revisit it. It's fine. Like the fact that it was the reveal that he was the child of Bo, all along.
Faceable.
Face of Bo. Fuck. He was the face of Bo the entire time. My best boy is closure enough for me. I I don't need to see the face of Bo or Captain Jack return, since both of them are given a pretty good conclusion, I'd say. Like the face of Bo risks his life to like save humanity, near the end of like wasn't it series 2 episode 2 or episode 3?
Yeah, series 2, episode 2, like in Gridlock, where he
Yeah.
dies so that humanity can, like, I guess, like, escape the highway and that.
Mm. So like it's not to say that Captain Jack had like a particularly bad ending or anything. It's I mean, I don't know how Torchwood ended. For all I know, they could have given him a really bad ending. But
Oh, he gets a pretty depressing ending in Torchwood.
oh no. But
Like, well, I say, and well, not really, because there's 3 series for Torchwood. There's series 1, series 2, Children of Earth, and Miracle Day, and like, Children of Earth is like depressing.
oh like Doctor Who kind of knows how to be depressing when it wants to be. Like you can, there haven't been too many depressing episodes. There have been a lot of existential episodes, from what I've watched so far. But
Yeah.
not too many in the face of like depressing ones. I think the closest we've come. I'm trying to think of one. Uh, it would have to be Father's Day would probably be the most depressing from what I can remember. But also the one where Rose goes away, like the final scene with Rose in the series two
Yeah.
finale, the series one finale also. Like, but those are what I think of when it comes to depressing scenes in Doctor Who. But I'm sure it gets like more like miserable as we go along, which I'm kind of glad that they don't uh, have too many sad scenes in Doctor Who, because Doctor Who isn't meant to be like really sad or really depressing. It is meant to have like elements of it every now and again, but at its core, it's supposed to be fun space adventure. Um, so I'm kind of glad that they don't really, you know, do it too often. Uh, but uh, I, I what else is there? I do like I do kind of like the whole the whole symbolism and message throughout the episode of like life and death, because like World War II's going on, and everyone's like dying in the background, like a lot of shit's going on. You can kind of see how like per- in this time it's like really depressing. Not only do they have to like struggle with the events of war, but they also have to like deal with this crisis of like these gas mask people who are just like asking are they their mummy and everything, and it it's it's honestly kind of a traumatizing event for like everyone. Like the I will admit, for the time, the 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 are they called like the empty children, or is it just like in the episode, or are there like names not really known? Like
I think it's just generally called the Empty Child.
yeah,
Like that's the name assigned to it.
yeah. So like the empty child, I do like how kind of like for the 2000s, it like the empty child is kind of terrifying. I do think that in terms of horror, I think that Blink, as much as I as much praise as the episode Blink gets, I think that the in terms of like horror, I'm a big fan of subtle horror. I I think that it's a lot more freaky if like you turn away, something moves and you're like, did that thing move, or am I just crazy? I think that Blink does a really good job of that. uh you know I I've been desensitized to enough horror, so I don't exactly find it like too scary, but I do like appreciate it for what it is, and I do really like the idea of like these children in gas masks. And the fucked up thing is that the gas mask is actually their face, since like you said before, like it just assumes that that's just how faces are made. So it must be a fucked up transformation. It uh well there's a really weird subplot with Rose and Captain Jack, where they kind of go on like a space, like a date together. It's a
Well, not so much space state, but like he saves her because
yeah
uh, she fucks up and climbs one of those war blimps, and he saves her, and they just sort of start flirting.
yeah exactly. Like I, I do feel kind of bad for Mickey. He's like,
Oh yeah, he gets a proper bum deal this season.
yeah, it, cat, M- M- Mickey just like, gets fucked with. He's kind of the character that everyone treats poorly, which is like again like the show doesn't really have like such a great start with how do I explain like representation, because like the first black character is kind of treated like shit, the first like trans character is kind of treated like shit. Like it it's something that I kind of appreciate about like the series getting like rebooted, because uh there's like opportunities to improve what has been like fucked up in the past. Like since today we are like a lot um what's the word for it? We're like
Woke.
yeah we're a lot more accepting with people, and like uh, like of course there's going to be like a vocal minority that's like, oh, trans people, like, oh, trans people are bad, uh because you know there's always going to be those types of people. But like from what it was like 5 years ago, like today, like a lot more people are accepting, and like a you know like if like it's just a better environment overall, and it makes way for like new who or new who to give a lot of representation where it was uh where they previously may have made mistakes in the past, like with like old Doctor Who, and then like I think there was an episode of them doing like blackface at one point, and like it was like a really still, like it was a still episode, or like because it was an episode with only images and shit, but it kind of looked like one of the characters was doing blackface. Like it just
Hang on, I'll be right back. Just
all good. Uh, but yeah, I I think overall, like this two-parter is relatively like really good. Uh, I think everyone's gonna agree on that. Like I don't really see anyone saying like, oh, this is a this is a terrible episode. I think everyone agrees that like this is one of the better episodes in the series, especially like with the with like the doctor dances. Like it, it is like kind of the theme of like in the Doctor Dances episode there is like a theme of redemption, since like you know Captain Jack has explored as this like you know this he's kind of seen as like a loose cannon almost, like this kind of charming rogue guy who has like this mysterious past. He like he undergoes quite an interesting like transformation where he he embraces more of like a hero hero and like self-sacrificing nature. Like he literally sacrifices himself to like save London, which I think is uh, like as we come to know later on, Captain Jack is basically fucking invincible. Like he practically cannot die, at least from uh what has been established. There might be something that can kill him, but from what we've seen, there's nothing that really can 100% kill him. Uh, it, it, as much as I like to say like he's like a knockoff Tom Cruise, he is like a really cool character. Uh, the
yeah, what we're talking about?
I was mainly talking about like Captain Jack and like how he was like originally introduces like kind of this charming rogue figure who he's kind of nobody's man. He kind of just does what he does, and like throughout the episode, he kind of transforms into this more heroistic figure who kind of sacrifices himself for the greater good. But as we kind of later learn, he's like, he's kind of invincible. So like his it is kind of interesting looking back at the series, knowing more about Captain Jack's character, and seeing they kind of can't die. The I do really like the ending of the episode
Well,
where he's just kind
to be fair, the whole can't die thing only happens at the end of this series.
yeah, yeah. Oh, is it only like is that does he like not really know about it, or is it like
I don't know, like what happens is Rose like brings him back to life, but she couldn't control it, so she brought him back forever.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I I do real uh well, what else is there to like the I do oh I almost forgot like one of the best moments in the episode. Um that which is like the doctor like saying like just this once everybody lives. Uh like that is probably one of the best moments in the season. Like it's this really kind of depressing two-parter where it's almost seems kind of hopeless. Like the episode like start like the Doctor dances like kind of starts with them like don't they like start off like getting trapped and they have to try and work a way out. It's really it kind of warms my heart a bit seeing that like this the end of the episode is celebrated with like a kind of like a happy ending almost, or which makes it like the doctor saying like just this once everybody lives. Uh,
Yeah, especially since this is the Doctor who survived the Time War and like has seen death at every point in this series.
yeah, honestly, like if you come from like old Who and go to new Who, like the first bit half of this like series is quite depressing. Like his interaction with the Daleks, like he's almost like his nature that he almost ends up just like them and is like unaccepting like their nature, like the Daleks' nature of just thinking like people like anything is lesser than them, and that like they deserve to die just because. Um, and like the kind of the I don't want to say like the the episode what's it called again? Like I don't want to say the long game is particularly depressing, but there are like hints of like the Doctor going through some form of trauma throughout the season, some form of like PTSD almost, and like when this episode starts, it's pretty much the most depressing point yet. Like it's set in World War II, like the like people getting bombed, like these children who are like it's their faces have morphed into this like fucking terrible thing, and we finally get kind of like a happy, like a true kind of a truly happy moment in the series because everything else has been like kind of sad. Like the like people have died just to like a like for example in like a episode 2 like at the end of the world like people's like die and they sacrifice themselves just so like the ship like not everyone else can die. uh while the Aliens of London World War 3 thing is a bit like silly, it I still can't really remember that. Like I rewatched it like a week ago and I still can't really remember Aliens of London, but uh, yeah, it it's just the fact that it really ends with a happy ending, and I would have been fine with Captain Jack dying, but the fact that he survives at the end, it really solidifies that, it's not all going to be completely miserable the whole time. Like, there will be, like, moments of happiness throughout the show. Like, because, like, while the show is goofy earlier on, I wouldn't say, like, there are particularly, like, moments. There's very few moments where, like, the characters in series 1 are, like, completely happy, because, like, when they go to, like, in episode 2, when they go to, like, the end of the world, like, they are kind of happy for a bit, but then, like, this existential dread looms over them. uh, there's very little time for them to be happy, so I know I'm, like, sticking on this happiness point for a bit, but, like, it really does hit you. Well, maybe it's only just me, but it really hit me the second time, like, watching it all the way through. But yeah, I think that's all I have, like, all there is to say about the Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. Oh, well, apart from the Doctor Dances meaning, you know, that the
Dr. Fox.
yeah, basically. Uh, but yeah, is there anything you want to add on to the episode? I feel like we've covered.
Well, I guess it's not really sure. We sort of covered all the main basics. I guess like the sort of main flaw of the two-parter is that there's no way the virus would be this self-contained. Like that's the main issue with it, to be honest.
Yeah, there, there is, like, some issues with the Doctor dances and all that, and especially, like, how some information is conveyed. Like, some characters will come at, like, the exact moment, like, that, like, this guy, when they come to the building, when, like, the Doctor and everything goes to the building, there's, like, this guy, and he, like, tells, like, the Doctor what happened and everything, and then just after that he literally turns into the fucking gas mask thing. So, like, there is, like, moments where it's just like, that's a bit weird, but I feel like overall, like, I like the it I mean, while it does have problems, I feel really positively towards that two-parter. Um, yeah, I feel like that's
Mm.
a pretty good. Uh, yeah, I feel like
Like,
it's pretty
and
good.
and it also establishes like going forward like a semi-new TARDIS team because from this point, Rose, Jack, and Nine.
Yeah, that is true. Like, there'll be, like, sort of a kind of new dynamic, uh, w- w- especially between like Doctor, Rose, and Jack, because they go back to Earth in the next episode. Well, they still are on Earth, but, like, they travel to a further point in the future. They go back to the present, uh, where they meet up with Mickey again, and
Yeah.
and they're back. The fart monsters are back. I To be honest, um, I do, I do, I do think that this is the best episode that that this the Slovene are in, like, that, because the World War III. Do we call it a trilogy? I don't know exactly what we call it, but the World War III three-parter uh, isn't exactly great, but I really like the moments where like, the Doctor and the Slovene are just, like, talking to each other. Like, they go out to dinner together, and they're just basically, like, talking to each other, and it's this huge game of like, oh, why don't I just kill you? And it's like, well, because it's you wouldn't kill me for just doing nothing now. And it's such an interesting it's such an interesting conflict where the Doctor is kind of tested a little bit, um, but it well, the, I like that's pretty much the main the main thing I liked about the episode. It's mainly the back and forth between Margaret. That's the Slovene's name, right? Margaret.
Yeah, well, it's not. It wasn't her name. It was the name. It was the name of the human she replaced.
Yeah, she kind of just killed someone. I do really like the dynamic between Margaret and the Doctor, um, because like it's this theme of redemption of can is Margaret possibly redeemed? Is she this new person? And as we find out throughout the episode, she's not redeemed. It was just part of her ultimate secret plan to fucking screw people over. Uh, it, like her plan to exploit the Cardiff Rift, like it does have kind of it is it's kind of hard to talk about the Slovene because do they don't really show up after series one.
I know. As far as I know, they don't show up at all in the main series after this. They do
Yeah,
show up in Sarah Jane Adventures, but not but after this, none.
yeah, their fate kind like Margaret's fate is kind of left like it like she's not from what I remember she's not exactly like it's kind of left unresolved because like she like she's not dead but she's
Because the thing with the Celine is that it's not the entire race is evil. It's just that that family we see in the first two parts is evil.
yeah they're
Like,
just like a fucked up like they're just a bad bunch of
it's
apples.
like they're a crime family. Like, not all of humanity is evil, but like a crime family is evil. You know.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so
Like
like, if she's taken back in her current form, she'll just be executed.
yeah,
But like, and when she looks into the heart of Potatus, she is like returned to like an egg, and now she's given like a new chance to live as someone who wouldn't have that info.
yeah, and I kind of like to think that like Margaret is like a better person now, someone who isn't as fucked up because crime families and shit they usually have some fucked up past to them, because otherwise they wouldn't be the way they are. So like, I, like I don't want to seem like I'm like let's like I don't want it to seem like I'm kind of trying to be empathetic to the Slovene because they're not really like let's be honest they're not really the best Doctor Who villain. They like the most that they're known for is them basically being a farting mess because they're like when they get into human suits you know it creates a noise that sounds like
Builds up gas in
yeah
that, but it's mostly an excuse for fart jokes.
it
Like,
is mostly
not to say fart jokes are like inherently bad. Like Doctor Who's allowed to be goofy in that. Like, there's a bit in like Space Babies where like the conclusion to like the space station being able to move is basically one great big fart joke.
yeah like I
Like, yeah, like if not, it's allowed to be goofy, but like it's just it's
it does
it makes the tone a bit more messy because
yeah
it's starting World War III. It's a great big allegory for the Iraq War, and it's got farting aliens in it, which, to be fair, is Doctor Who in a nutshell. Goofy aliens doing real hard allegory. But
yeah
it's just fart aliens. It's just it's hard to it's
It's hard
big
to take it
farting
seriously.
elephant in the room.
Yeah, like the it's this like every time the Slovene are involved, it's this very serious plot line. Like like for example, Boomtown explores whether or not this one character can be redeemed or not, and it's kind of distracting because like the Slovene are known for being a farting mess, so that like it's basically just so they could make fat jokes and fart jokes because there are a lot of fat jokes in the World War III episode. I I did notice they kind of toned it down for Boomtown. From what I remember, there were still some fart jokes, but the thing is that the I can't believe I'm going in depth about fart jokes, but the thing is like there's a difference between like really funny like you know there's there's not really such thing as like I mean there is such thing as bad joke, but the way it's more the way you execute it, and it, like if they did it like once, it could just be like a fine joke, but it's the fact that it's like like repeated throughout the episode. Uh, is kind of what makes it more something that's makes it tonally more messy. Uh, Especially with what they were going for.
I guess you.
Yeah, like because I really do like the stuff that this episode has to offer. Uh, the dynamic between the Doctor and Margaret. Uh, like the Doctor giving her a chance at redeeming herself, and like the Doctor like doesn't end up killing her at the end of the day. Like he gives her a chance to start again. Like all of that is really good stuff, and could have made for like probably like a great episode of Doctor Who. It's just the fact that I, if it were someone different than the Slovene, it probably would have been a very good episode. Like like the more I think about it, it's kind of the Dalek episode, but done kind of worse because because like this the Dalek near the end kind of has this like comes into contact with Rose, and he starts having these human emotions, and at the end he has to be killed off, and it's like, and that episode plays with like just because like this the Dalek you know kill like uh you know it plays with the Doctor, like you know if the Doctor kills the Dalek, then he'll be just as bad as them. um and you'll be because it's like the Dalek said you would be a great Dalek because he can see all the anger and the pain in his eyes. It's basically just the Dalek episode but done kind of worse. It doesn't mean it's a bad episode, but like I said, it's the best episode with the Slovene involved. Uh, but that's not really saying much. But yeah, that I don't know. Is there anything more we want to add
Um,
on?
there's a little casual fat phobia in it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Not with Margaret, but when in the conversation where Mickey and Rose like talking about how like Mickey's seeing someone else because Rose is off in time and space and shit, and he mentions a specific girl, and Rose is like, oh, she's a bit big, and Mickey's like, she's losing weight, and but is that really necessary?
yeah. It does feel uncomfortable because the, for some reason, whenever the Slovene are involved, like there has to be some sort of like fat phobic joke. Like it's like it kind of makes me think like good on like good on Mickey for not really like, caring what someone looks like. They're just like you know he's dating them for more who they are than rather what's on the outside, which you know it's a good thing, but the I don't think the show treats it like as the same way as we do. Like it's like yeah, like date a person of any way. It doesn't matter as long as you're in a healthy relationship with them and you love them. Like that's all that really matters. It doesn't really matter what they look like as long as you love them. The show kind of treats it as like, oh, they're a fat person, haha, they're fat. That's so funny. Uh, yeah. Again, series one doesn't really have some of the best representation at times, but when it hits, it really hits. In terms of representation. But yeah, I think that's all there is to say about Boomtown.
Yeah, like we are sort of breezing through these episodes, but it's more so just like casual thoughts and that. We're not like going super in depth and shit.
Yeah, like I don't want to I, like we are like kind of like analyzing some bits like but like it is more casual thoughts, and now our thoughts and feelings on like what we liked about the episodes, what we didn't like, and what some of the blatant issues of like unfortunate dated humor. So I mean, we've been put pretty clear. Like, don't expect like a full in-depth analysis. That's for a podcast who makes 11-hour videos. We're mostly going over just like
We
general
aim
thoughts.
for 2 to 3 channels.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, but I I will say that the Bad Wolf episode is probably one of my favorite episodes in series one. I just like the idea of a fucked up game show. Like this really weird game station. Uh, with these really weird rules, and the fact that Bad Wolf has something to do with it. All of it like makes for a really fun episode. Uh, I guess should we also talk about the parting of ways as well as Bad Wolf, since they're kind of
Yeah,
both.
we'll talk about both. We'll talk about both of them because like it helps speed things along, but also just
Yeah,
it's a two-parter, so
yeah, exactly. Like I re I think we've talked about this before, but the Bad Wolf twist is probably like like it it's probably one of the best twists in Doctor Who like so far. Like I haven't come across many other. Of course, the series 3 twist is like probably the best. But you have told me that there's one similar to it. In terms of like how hard it hits like later on in the show, so I'm excited to get to
yeah,
that point.
yeah, and it comes fairly soon. So if you're listening and you know.
Yeah, exactly. Like throughout the throughout the series, I do really like how this thing has like been building up, because Bad Wolf, it first appeared in the end of the world, where it was like seeing graffiti on the wall, uh, and like Satellite 5, and and in the third episode, it like I I think the
It's spray painted onto the TARDIS.
yeah, exactly. Um, it like the way it's built up. Like at first you kind of like think nothing of it. I think once it got spray painted onto the TARDIS, I was like, oh, this must have like some sort of significance, since they wouldn't just be like they wouldn't just be saying this for no absolute reason, because it was said quite rarely throughout. Like the phrase "bad wolf" was used quite sparingly throughout season one. I mean, series one, but it's used enough where I kind of caught on to what they were doing, and uh, to be honest, the Bad Wolf Corporation does that. Like they're they're quite like they're quite like a very threatening presence almost because I mean it is like as we find out later on, it is kind of a thing referencing to the finale later on because it's been shown throughout the episode, and it leads into the finale. Uh, sorry, but sorry, I'm kind of like mixing up my words a bit, but I, I guess I'll talk about like the game show stuff first, uh, since like that it's probably like one of the more fun parts of the episode. It is fun in like a very fucked up way because it explores like this like sort of like human suffering into like this entertainment medium, which I guess is like I I guess it's kind of like a critique on how people are like treated very poorly in order for like entertainment. It's more like it, it's more or less a critique for like back in like back in like a lot more old times where people were like used and exploited for like entertainment. It still definitely happens now, but uh it's definitely a critique regarding that. The it, it's it, it is one of those things that I find really interesting. It's one of those things that isn't like you don't really see this explored much in like shows like the idea of a fucked up game show, uh, getting like that kind of idea isn't really in any other kind of show. The fact that that idea definitely screams Doctor Who to me. Um, I do like I really like how uh, each character in has to face through their different kind of like game show because with Rose it's trivia and she knows absolutely nothing about trivia since it's like a majority of her questions aren't even about her planet, so of course she wouldn't know shit. And the Doctor is struggling with like, isn't it the longest who stays in the house wins? Like it's something like that, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like a Mr. Beast challenge if Mr. Beast fucking killed people, which yeah, it's basically evil Mr. Beast, and I the I do uh really like the I I'm trying to think of anything else to say about the game show because it is something I really like but I'm having a bit of trouble describing it. I
Well, I guess because you're also like it's very much like a parody of like British
oh yeah.
game shows and that. So it's like if you're British, you have a bit more to talk about. Like the Weakest Link, which is literally still going today and literally plays before Doctor Who has.
Yeah, it's definitely a parody of most of those game shows, except it's kind of played in kind of a dark humor kind of thing.
Like much more darker, like the android who, if you have a Weakest Link.
I hold on, let me. I might have heard of the Weakest Link. Let me. I've definitely heard of it. I
Mm,
haven't seen an episode. I probably have caught an episode of it once, but
mm.
it doesn't really play here.
No, so I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but like in that sort of whole Weakest Link bit, like, I like it's a really great sort of character moment where like Rose it just isn't paying attention and is just laughing at it. So like she does so like
Yeah,
that means she ends up losing and like it's like because she wasn't taking the situation seriously, it puts her life in danger.
yeah. It's like I mean, it does kind of make sense because it's like it's a game show. Like what's the worst thing that can happen? It's when she sees like someone get literally fucking pulverized right in front of her. She's like, oh shit, this isn't like any normal sort of game show. This is something where people are fucking dying. It's really cool how like obviously Rose is so used to like human activity to the point where she's like, oh, this is just like a normal game show. Like everything's going to be fine. She's like, why are you all freaking out for? Like, it's just a game show. The I and like the fact that she's like not really worrying about it and everything. It's really cool. Um, I do like the characterization Rose is given. I can't remember what really happened to Captain Jack. Didn't he have like? Wasn't he with like a robot or something? He's
Yeah, he ends up on like a clothing show, and
yeah.
he gets stripped up in front of millions, and he's like, "Ladies, your viewership just went up." And and at the end he pulls a gun out of somewhere, and they were like, "Where were you hiding that?" And he's like, "You really don't want to know."
He's fucking hiding it up his ass. The, I think that's what solidified Captain Jack as like like a favorite for me, cause he's just such a fucking greaseball. He's like he's definitely one of those people who are like, oh, like he treats himself as being way more cool than he actually is. Like he hides a fucking gun up his ass and everything. Like the this is a guy who clearly takes himself so seriously when in reality he just isn't. He just he's just not him. Like uh that and like didn't like later on they tried to like kill him or something. Like they bring out like a chainsaw or something and they try to kill him. I this is the like Bad Wolf. Well, I do really like it. There are some parts of the episode that I kind of forget. I suppose is the
Mhm.
best word of saying it. But I, I suppose we should also talk about like parting of ways, like which is I think we can both agree is like a really emotional uh finale. Not only for the Doctor, but the fact that this is like Christopher Eccleston's final appearance as the Doctor, it it kind of emotionally weighs on you a bit. Like this is the last time you'll be seeing him because, of course, like this is the first time regeneration is introduced in like the new show. Uh, well, I mean, I think that it served as an like, it's just a really emotional uh scene because like the Doctor is still there, but it's not the same Doctor. It's almost like when the regeneration happens, it's almost like losing a friend that you've been going on these adventures with. It, it's quite it's hard to explain because it's unlike anything I've ever experienced. Because like usually when a character dies, it's something like, oh, okay, they're dead now, like they're not coming back. But for this, it's this really weird sensation, like they're still there, and like they're still walking around and everything. It's just that I I know what it's where they lose a part of themselves almost. Like you lose a part of someone that you've known for a while, and you're not gonna see them again. It's it's quite like like I think when we finished it, like I had to like take a break from like the show because it was just so like
Yeah.
emotionally
And it was the first regeneration of the new series where like
yeah.
you get like the idea of the main character dying and it being like you're losing this version of a character, and very likely you'll never see them again. In
Yeah.
Eccleston's case, yeah, we probably will never see them again.
Yeah, whereas like Tenet, I feel like I haven't gone on up to Tenet's like gener- regeneration yet, but he's probably going to be the one I feel less like less sad about, mainly because
Oh, you're not. You are so not ready.
um,
Ten's regeneration makes me bawl my fucking eyes out.
I, I say this now, but then later on I'm probably gonna be like, oh shit, oh no, because like
Like you know how you cried when Rose left?
yeah,
Yeah, you're probably gonna cry when Ten leaves because they really, really me earn it and like make it a really just a really sad moment.
oh no. I'm trying to convince myself like it won't be that sad since we see him again later on, like way later on, and like, you know,
Oh! Don't try and convince yourself that just because we see him as a 14th Doctor that his regeneration isn't sad. Like
yeah,
his regeneration broke an entire generation of British people.
I might I might be coping a bit when I see this scene. I'm probably gonna just be fucking crying my eyes out, and
You will.
I
You
real
will.
and I really like how this regeneration happens. Like it ends with like since the time war has been going on and everything, this um this battle feels very personal uh, with the Daleks. So the fact that they made it at the end of season one, like this is the close, like this is the season finale. This is the series finale. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's like
it makes it more
we know the
impactful.
Daleks come back, but like this feels
Yeah,
like the closure that I needed. Like this
yeah,
was the end of the real end of Time
yeah.
War.
This
So like
this feels personal.
he and like the whole thing is that like he killed them all. He pressed the button that killed them all, and like
Yeah,
he given the exact same ultimatum, and like they say coward or killer, and he says coward any day. Like
yeah,
yes, like that moment is still one of the best in the whole show. That's one of the best freaking moments of the whole Doctor.
yeah. Exactly. Like the obviously the Daleks coming back, but that that, that moment that's been building up to the entire season, it it feels so emotionally impactful, and when it happens, you're like you can't help but just say holy shit, but because this is something that Nine needed most because in that Dalek episode you can tell that seeing a Dalek for the first time in ages was something that fucking traumatized him. Like you can tell the memories were flooding back. So the fact that he
Like,
actually,
he went from traumatized to scared to just being gleefully wanting to torture them. Like that man is not he is not okay.
yeah, exactly. And the and the fact that Rose kind of like Rose helps with the situation. Like the fact that it makes the Doctor and Rose's relationship a lot more personal. The fact
Yeah, it's
that
like because the thing is like Doctor and Rose, they're like the first Doctor and companion duo, and like
yeah,
with Rose, like Rose has a lot of importance in this area, and like everyone hypes up Rose as like best.
yeah, I
When you're 10 years and
I I
looking back, it's like Rose really was so important.
yeah,
She was the person that brought the Doctor out of that pit, out of that dark place.
yeah,
Like you can see it in the first episode, like they're getting along. He's
yeah,
smiling and laughing and joking with her. It's like she was so important that you can really see why he would fall,
yeah. Like
or at least like or become so attached that like it's almost love.
yeah, like as weird as it is, I like this is the only time where I kind of feel comfortable with them having a relation, like with the Doctor having a relationship with like a human, because it makes sense. Like just takes place just after the Time War. Shit has been going down. The Doctor's miserable, and he finds someone that makes him, just
That
feel
completes
again.
him, like someone who's his equal, like someone
Yeah,
who,
someone
despite is
who's
only 19 years old and works in a shop, she's probably his equal and better in some areas than him, and
yeah,
that's what makes it such a unique dynamic. And I will say, I think Rose and Nine better for Rose and 10 purely because Eccleston is older. Okay, like Eccleston is like double her age.
yeah. I it,
Like David Tennant was like 35 when he was cast, so like, what? So that's still 15 years older, but like he looks young. Okay, like it makes it a little less weird in my.
yeah. I that it is true. Like relationship wise and everything. Like character wise, I do think like I really like the dynamic between Nine and Rose, but making it less weird, I do prefer 10 and Rose because he just looks younger and it makes me feel less uncomfortable watching because when I see them kiss, I'm like, it makes sense and everything, but it still kind of feels weird that they're both like,
Yeah, especially since like I think Nine might be one of the more asexual doctors, mainly because like every other doctor in this era has been very kissy, and like every other like Nine's probably like actually like asexual and like doesn't really have that much of a love life. Which, well, yeah, he had one series and like didn't really interact with that many people, but you get what I mean.
yeah, and like the fact is that this episode really feels like a season finale. Like it feels like everything is at stake because like
Yeah,
the
like because they didn't know that this series that the show was gonna pick up. Like they weren't certain, so they were like, "All right, let's make this a finale. Like let's put a roll into this shit."
yeah, didn't they have like an alternate thing that
Yeah,
they're
like the alternate ending was basically like, but it was pretty much all the same up until the scene with TARDIS. And instead of the Doctor regeneration, it was gonna be like I don't know, like the shot of like the car panning down and Rose is on the floor, and Nine's over the TARDIS, and it was gonna to like the martyr, like scanning Rose saying human dying, and that was the cliffhanger.
oh shit that
Like it was barely even like an ending. It was just like a couple edited shots from the actual ending, but like that was like an alternate ending if like it picked up and like if Eccleston was to stay on,
mm,
but alas.
alas it didn't work out that well, but the like this really does feel like a finale to the show because the Doctor is willing to sacrifice himself for humanity, and Rose is like ultimately like sacrificing herself in some way as well. Like she
Because like when I think of series one, I think of it as relatively low stakes. Like they never leave Earth's orbit. It actually takes place on Earth and all that, and like
yeah
in my mind, it's always full of like sort of lowish stakes, but like the finale actually has like really big stakes of like
yeah
trying to save all of humanity and stop the Daleks. Like that, that's a finale right there.
yeah and it's executed really well. Like you don't really like notice it because you don't really know what it's building up to until you rewatch it again and you realize what it's all culminating to, the Bad Wolf stuff, his dynamic with Rose and everything, him facing off like getting reintroduced with the Daleks again. It all culminates into that finale, and it's honestly like a beautiful finale. Um, it it honestly makes me really sad because like you can tell that like, because it's been established that the TARDIS is somewhat sentient, and I do think that the TARDIS likes Rose as well as like the Doctor likes Rose, but I also think that the TARDIS does like Rose as well. Um, uh, but because like since it's sentient and everything, and I feel like the Doctor and the TARDIS have such a big connection together that I feel like they're like the Doctor's love for Rose is shared with the TARDIS, which is why which is when a lot of things play out as how we got the ending we got with Rose, pretty much looking into isn't it the
The heart of a TARDIS and like
yeah,
absorbing a bit of a time vortex.
yeah,
I think it's both. Like she says, she has the whole of a time vortex in her head, but like, and you know what? You don't, you're not supposed to think about all that. Just what the
yeah,
show tells you in that.
yeah, exactly. It, it does like you said, it does feel very very high stakes, especially since like there's a chance where like I I I I don't feel this much in media, but I did feel like that the Doctor might have lost in this episode because it's all kind of it, the way the I thought the series was going to go is because like the Doctor was really depressed and everything, and from what I've seen, I thought it was kind of building up to be a depressing like kind of ending, and in a way it is because like the regeneration and everything, but I thought it was going to end up on a loss because like the victory in the Doctor Dances I thought was going to be a fluke where like it's a small ending where
Hmm.
uh like the Doctor gets a win, but he loses in the series finale, which I was quite surprised when we found out that he actually didn't like lose, which I honestly like made it really good for me because I was on the edge of my seat while watching that episode. I didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen, so the fact that he kind of lives like the regeneration is very hard to explain. He lives, but he also
Yeah,
doesn't live at the same time. That's
yeah, because the way regeneration works is that you have to die, be mortally wounded.
yeah.
So like he technically does die, but like he doesn't get killed off. Is what I mean.
He dies, quote unquote. he he like the the all I'll say is the the way the Doctor was developed. This series, it was really good. I do like the way that Ten is developed throughout the show. However, I think that uh so far I have a very person like I do think 10 is better than 9. Like I'm not going to get that like I'm not going to let anyone get that twisted. I do think I have in a way at points like I have a more personal connection to 9, um but because of how it all ends up getting resolved. But I feel like I'm going to at the end of Ten's journey, I feel like I'm going to have more of a connection to him because I still don't know how his story ends or anything, but at the moment it's a bit of a 50-50 for me because I don't I don't know which one's
No,
better.
it's all down to personal taste. Like 10 is probably one of my favorite Doctors, and
Yeah.
9's probably up there, but it's like a case of I just wish he had more. But like the fact he's really high on the list and only had one series is impeccable.
Yeah, it, like the fact that he gets so much development in the first series, honestly, I can't help but you know uh, congratulate the writers for doing that because that's a fucking hard task to get someone invest like the 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 story behind how Doctor Who's like the reboot of Doctor Who series 1 being as good as it is, that must have been so hard to do. The fact that like the series ended up being as good as it is very impressive to me, because the amount of challenges they must have had trying to make the series work must have been immeasurable, because not only did they have to try and pick it back up from where the show ended, which, let's be honest, didn't end very well, like the original series. So they had to not only get people back into Doctor Who, but they also had to get you invested in a character that new audiences are being introduced to. So I think that they did like a brilliant job. But
Yeah,
yeah,
like it's interesting to contrast with how it's doing now. Like it'll be interesting to contrast in like uh 6-ish weeks.
yeah,
Yeah, 6-ish, 7-ish weeks when the new series is interesting to contrast how well it reboots it in 2005 and how it reboots it in 2024.
I did notice like some people complaining on Twitter, like, oh, some people, like new viewers, won't get some of the references that like,
Oh yeah, that was so funny. Like it's so funny. Like I saw like because a lot of people on Doctor Who Twitter, like a long time fan, like complain that oh it's referencing too much because they reference stuff from the 60s, they reference stuff from the 70s, like they reference stuff that happened in the 60th, and I saw some like new fans are just gonna be so confused, they won't follow it. This is a terrible idea for, and almost every new fan I see talking, I saw some talking in the replies of, and as someone who's a Jinx Monsoon fan who hadn't watched the show, and they were talking about how they've only seen the new episodes, and they were like, I liked it, I followed along fine. The
yeah,
references didn't bother me, and it's just
I,
it's like if you're a long time viewer, you can't judge what would make for a good jumping on point.
yeah, I, I, the thing is, when watching something like as as culturally relevant as Doctor Who, it's like it's there's obviously going to be references to the older media, and it's just an inevitability. Uh,
Yeah, well, I guess because in the first few eras, whenever it like reference Classico, it was very sparingly because there was this sort of stigma around
yeah,
referencing Classico. I'm really embracing it. It wasn't like really the
exactly.
like that whole stigma didn't really go away until like a couple of years ago with Power of the Doctor when like almost all the classic Doctors showed up and like it really embraced Classic Who, and now it's like now I can even bring in Mel. Literally doesn't have an opening story, and like her time on the show was really kind of yeah. But like
Y-
but like New Who had to start off on like whenever it brought in something from class to re-establish as its own thing within the show.
Yeah,
Like couldn't it couldn't do like the Toymaker where oh this is a classic villain coming back. No, this
yeah, they,
it has to re-establish the threat as its own thing.
yeah,
Same like the Cyberman. Like it's not the Cyberman from our universe where like oh it has all this history. No, it's Cyberman from a different universe. The new backstory that we're learning. Like that sort of thing.
yeah,
Whereas with New Who, it can just bring in it can reference classic Who and stuff freely,
yeah,
and you can just be like, oh, like because in episode 2, there's a it's set in 1963, so like they reference the fact that the Doctor is living there with Susan and that like so like and so like of course it's just more it's and that it makes the show feel more alive, you know,
yeah.
like it feels like it has a history,
It, it
even if you haven't seen it.
it feels like you're a part of something. Like it feels like you're experiencing kind of history because it references the previous shows and everything. It feels a lot more alive in that sense. Whereas the challenge with the reboot, the new show, New Who. I'm saying New Who, but in fact it's old Who. But it's like it came out like 20 years ago, so it's technically old.
Just saying survival is the most common thing. Like New Who is like
Yeah,
2005 to 2022.
yeah,
New Who is now, but like survival is generally like what it's referred to as.
yeah. Like trying to bring back those characters. I don't think people like now knew how knew hahaha, but I don't think people knew how like challenging that would have been because there was a lot of stigma behind it. I feel like if there wasn't such a big stigma, I feel like the revival would have just like done the exact same thing as what Nunu Who is doing now, where it would have just like referenced beats from the previous stories. They're only doing it now because like the stigma of
They're
old
only
Who
doing
is
it now because it's because Doctor Who now is its own established thing in like the
yeah,
modern era. Like it's been going for 20 years. Like, it's
yeah.
give it like another few, like like five-ish. Hang on. Give it like seven-ish years, and it'll be running for as long as
Oh
for
yeah.
as long as Classico ran for. So
I
like it's got its own legacy,
yeah,
and like
I feel like it's definitely like this new Who show is definitely a case of New Who series one where I, I feel like a lot of people are being a bit unfair to it, saying that it's gonna get cancelled. Like there are a few people who just kind of hate it for no reason, which I like from what I've heard, the show's pretty fucking great. Like it that
yeah, like they're mostly just talking about viewing numbers. This they just don't matter. Like the
yeah
thing is, like viewing habits aren't the same as they were 10 years,
the
let alone 20 years ago. Like most people in the UK watch on streaming. They watch on iPlayer, just
yeah
more like on iPlayer at midnight now.
yeah. Some people aren't
And like,
watching them on
and the
Disney
thing is,
Plus.
you can't track iPlayer like
Yeah,
statistics because it doesn't count them until like and like a few days later. So like it's just relying on like them statistics to be like, oh, Doctor Who is so cancelled. It's just a fool's.
it's dying. Doctor Who's dying apparently. Like
And all I'll say is, when Shuji is still on his fifth season and you're still saying Doctor Who is dying, all I'll say is, haha.
yeah, because like it's not the same threat as New Who had in series one. Like it wasn't like this fear of getting cancelled.
Like
Doctor Who's
New Who thought they only had one shot with
yeah,
series one, whereas like New Who literally had a two-season deal with Disney,
yeah. That
and they're currently planning season three.
they've got plenty of time. Like if they mess up something like that, we've just got out of the Whittaker era. We've got out of the Chibnall era. What like it even if there is a bad episode of New Who somehow it I'm sure it'll be miles better than what everyone got in the Chibnall era. Uh,
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, like that's the thing. I feel like Nunu Who is coming out at a better time than any because we just got out of the Chibnall era. Everyone's kind of kind of a bit soured on what happened, and we're getting this new and fun season with Shooty. Uh, it and it's it's just a goofy old time. It
Yeah, and
looks
it's
like a lot of
embracing a
fun.
much lighter, fun tone. Well, I should say, a lot of people are criticizing the first two episodes of it because it has a much Space Babies and Devils Code, like light and fun and camp, and like saying, "Oh, we want it to be darker. We want to be." Thing is, the thing is, it's around like just in this series. I point out is that Dalek is when like shit gets real for the series.
Yeah,
Like, it's a very clear cut off point. Like Dalek is when like things get really dark.
yeah,
Whereas before, it's like a much more laxed,
yeah,
laid back tone while still dipping into stuff.
yeah. Like
And the
there,
news, it's like for like uh, like a series 4 comparison I'll use because it's that because that series gets dark. It's like it's like criticizing the episode Midnight, one of the no, it's like criticizing the episode Turn Left, one of the darkest episodes in the series. No, no, I got it backwards. It's like criticizing the opening episode, Partisan Crime, because it isn't Turn Left because it doesn't have that dark turn.
Like, I think a lot of people forget like series 2 of Doctor Who was like a majority of camp. The reason why series 1 was a bit darker in tone, like than the rest, is because like they only had one shot to do it. There wasn't like if they messed it up, they aren't getting another chance. So they had to make try to appeal to everyone, which is why the poster for 9 was a lot more dark. He was staring very
Yeah,
very
like it was
seriously
the
at the camera.
2000s. Like things were a lot darker. Like
Yeah,
Batman was a lot darker. Superman was darker. Bond
yeah,
was darker.
yeah,
Spider-Man was getting darker and now. Like it was genuinely like it was the era of moody. So like, and I feel like the Doctor's probably like the few heroes that really sort of it works with because he grows out of it.
yeah. So this complaining about like, oh, it's not like it's not dark enough. I don't think that's true. Like the series 2 and portions of series 3, it was mostly pretty campy with elements of dark stuff. Like,
Yeah, like it's you gotta remember it's a family show.
yeah,
It is meant to appeal to kids, young adults, and adults. Like it's meant to appeal. It's meant to be the kind of show you would watch with your family.
yeah,
Like it's so it has to still have a fun element. It has to appeal to
yeah,
people who. It has to appeal to autistic people as well who just want comfort shows. You
yeah.
know,
I'm
like
yeah,
it can't be dark right out the gate and be super miserable and all that. You gotta have the light
yeah.
before the storm. You know.
Also, if it just was dark in the beginning, I just don't feel like that's kind of Doctor Who's style. It is at its
And
core
like
an adventure show.
I'll just say, there's not been a single like episode of the series Doctor Who that's opened particularly dark.
Yeah,
Like it's always had a fairly light opening.
yeah, I'd say so, and especially with like the Christmas, like the Christmas specials come right before the first episode, and they're always a lot of fun. They're
Yeah,
goofy space
it's because
adventures.
people are criticizing the whole era of this series, of this new era, because it's not dark enough. Whereas the first three were anniversary specials, so they're gonna be a lot more fun. You have David Tennant and Catherine Tate who are like dynamite together and a lot of fun. And
Yeah,
you had Wild Blue Yonder, which is the best, really, really. And it's just, and then you have the Christmas special, which of course is going to be light and campy. It's a Christmas special.
yeah,
And even the first episode of the series, Space Babies, actually, it gets pretty heavy. Like, there's a couple bits where the Doctor talks about how, like, yeah, my life kind of sucks.
yeah. I mean, I guess we should talk about this Christmas special. Speaking of Christmas
Yeah, well,
specials,
because we get introduced to our new Doctor, David Dent.
yeah, our best boy, our favorite boy. I'm not sure like who would you say is like the best Doctor, like as a whole?
Oh, that is a hard question. Oh, that is a hard because like well, it's either down to it's like down to preference or like being like oh who would be the best. A lot of them are really good and not influential because like especially like Troughton like he's the template for most of the Doctors going forward.
Yeah, I,
But also like Tom Baker like he was like there's a reason why he's like see he like whenever like an American show represents the Doctor Who like Family Guy or The Simpsons or Futurama, they always just show Tom Baker.
yeah,
And, like he's just such a good Doctor. Like he's this really tall, imposing, like alien acting person. He has this really deep sort of whimsical demeanor to him, and
yeah,
also the long scarf and the hat and the jelly babies.
yeah. I like. When I think of the Doctor, I think of Tom Baker, David Tennant, and I surprisingly I think of like Shooty because I
Yeah, like thing is, the character's called the Doctor, but like
yeah
a lot of for like all of classic Who, he was created as Doctor. So like a lot of people say, oh, he's Doctor Who.
yeah
Like even Capaldi refers to him as Doctor Who. But like there's very few Doctors where like you can say he's Doctor Who. Most of them are just the Doctor. So like I'd say like Hartnell, John Pertwee, he's very much so Doctor. Um, uh, Tom Baker. Who else? Probably say Capaldi and Shooty and Tennant, but specifically as 14. Like, Tennant is 10 is the Doctor, Tennant is 14. To, like, just has that classic vibe, you know?
yeah exactly. I like it's very hard to define like when you like a doctor as that's the doctor like because it's just kind of like a feeling, it's a gut feeling, it's a sixth sense. You can't really say, oh, that's
You know,
the
like,
doctor.
that's literally what everyone is experiencing with Shooty. Like,
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
no other way to describe him. He just is the Doctor.
He has that look.
Like, 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 before the 60th aired, and like we saw him in it. Like, there was a documentary film called Adventure in Space and Time, which is like which documents how the original series was done, how Hartnell there,
Mm,
and at the end, it was created in 2013, and in that one, and in that version, Matt Smith shows up.
yeah.
Hartnell like looks towards the future of the show and sees Smith looking back at him, and like they redone it for 2023, and it's in this time Shooty, and like just in that scene, he doesn't say anything. He just looks at Hartnell, winks at him, plays with the console a bit, and everyone was just like, "That's the Doctor."
Yeah.
Like, just like he just has that aura. Just especially the wink. The wink won me over.
Very,
Won me saying anything and just winking at the camera.
very
He
few
just
people are able to capture that style of the Doctor, and I think Shooty does it perfectly. I've seen only like a few clips of him, and I'm sold already.
like. There's not many doctors where I can say like they just are the Doctor. Like the only other person I
Yeah,
really say about that is maybe Tom Baker,
yeah,
David Tennant, and Peter Capaldi.
yeah.
Especially Capaldi. Like the man in real life just is so whimsical. Like when describing why he wouldn't return to the show, he says he imagines every doctor like just is still off somewhere and doesn't really need to return. Like they never end. And
Yeah,
he specifically said, and he said with this Scottish whimsical twinkle in his eye, they're off in time and space, like me.
uh,
Like that man is just Doctor Who. Like he like he might not come back to the show because he's too like he doesn't he's not much of a multi doctor. If he never does, he will still forever just be the Doctor.
yeah. I honestly I can't wait to see Capaldi. Oh, honestly, I can't wait to just see Capaldi as like the
And I will say like his first series is the one that I'm on because it's when they were trying out him because he was the biggest apart so far. He was the oldest Doctor. He was a lot more brooding, a lot more angry, a lot more shut up.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Especially since Matt Smith, the youngest Doctor ever, had come before him. So it's like all the fangirls are like, no, he's old,
He's
not
old
anymore.
now.
And nowadays everyone agrees he
To be fair, we got the
like
DILF Doctor now. We don't.
wait, who's the Dilf Doctor? Because
Capaldi. I'd say Capaldi's the DILF
no, he's the Gilf Doctor.
Doctor.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he was only 50,
Yeah, two.
which is actually scary fucking thought. That's only a couple of years younger than 10 right now. So it's
Jesus.
like, ugh.
may yeah, maybe he's in between. Like he could be a gilf and a dilf. What would
Yeah,
they
like
even make
'cause
him?
he's well, he has much more granddad vibes than his dad.
That is true. Like the way he acts and everything. The like I've seen like a couple interviews of him. He does act like your very cool granddad almost. He's
Yeah, that's pretty much who he is. Like in his third series, he pretty much always says like he's the companion's granddad.
yeah, exactly. Like he, he just
Although there's a running joke in like couple in the first couple series that he thinks him and Clara he thinks they look the same age. And it's not that he thinks he look he it's not that he thinks he looks young. He thinks she looks old.
he's, yeah, he definitely is like a very granddad vibe person. Like that's
And
something I
and,
can see a
and,
granddad saying.
and especially when he gets the Sonic sunglasses and like the
Sorry,
hoodie and the guitar.
that's
He's like
right.
he's he's your cool horrible space granddad.
Yeah, that's right. You told me about the fucking guitar and the Sonic sunglasses.
I mean,
Oh,
I'm not a fan of the sunglasses, but the guitar, I love it because Capaldi actually does play in real life, and every time he does play on the show, that's him playing.
oh, that. It, from what it sounds like, he just. From what it sounds like, Peter Capaldi, like Capaldi, just sounds like he came onto the show and just did his own fucking thing, and he just fucking rocked on the set, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this as the Doctor.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I will say, if there's any multi-Doctor story I want to see with him, it's him and Shooty.
Oh.
Mainly because they're both Scottish. Like, at the Scottish BAFTAs, when, like, it was last year, I think, he like, got an award and he gave his blessing to Shooty and he's off to have his own adventure and things. They had a little photo shoot together, and it's just like, oh, my Scottish boys.
that they would be so cool together as like the that don't make me hope that that's
Um, Honestly, I doubt we'll get a multi-Doctor story of Shooty for a while
yeah.
because his first story was one.
Yeah, exactly. It probably won't be for like another a few years or so. That
But if I did, I want to see him with like 11. I want to see him with 12. Just it's yeah, but yeah, it's harder to find what is the best Doctor. But
yeah,
Tennant is probably up there. He's my Doctor.
I you know I can see why. Like he's definitely just most people like whenever they think of Doctor Who, they either think of Tom Baker or they think of David Tennant, and that because David Tennant is practically everywhere. Like when I was a kid, Doctor Who. Whenever I thought Doctor Who, David Tennant came into my mind. Uh, but because he's just that iconic, most people when they see the Doctor, they imagine David Tennant or Tom Baker. But yeah, it's hard for me because like I said, it's 50-50 for me at the moment. I feel like once I'm done with series 4, I'm going to fall in love with Tennant as a whole. Like from what I've seen of him of interviews and everything, and just him doing his own thing, he seems so cool. That clip that's been going viral all over online where he's with uh he's doing like some like drawing competition. He's like, you drew you drew all that. You drew the like you drew all that in like a night or something. And he's like, yeah,
Oh yeah, the thing with him and Michael Sheen in
yeah,
staged
yeah,
when like it was during COVID, and it was them like it's them playing themselves like an exaggerated version of themselves, and Michael like drew like a great big painting, and David drew a little pineapple, and David's like, "You did that? Eh, fuck off!"
fuck
And he's
off.
like, and, and he said, and Michael's like, "Yours is good." He's like, "My pineapple is shit." He just needs some
he's,
shading.
It's like I did it for a role. He's like, what do you mean a role? what what do you mean a
And
role?
there's one clip in particular that went viral. Is when basically Mike they're like comparing like how famous they are, and like because David Tennant like boasts how he was in David boasts how he was in one scene in the Harry Potter films,
Yeah.
and Michael's like, I was actually in four of the Twilight films, and David just yells, I'm Doctor Who. He just yells, I'm Doctor Who. Not anymore, baby.
The fucking.
And then, a little while later, he became Doctor Who. It's like, play the long game on that one. I'd actually really recommend Stage. It is a really it's a really funny show.
I oh it
Like, after you watch Good Omens, I'd recommend just watching Stage, because, like, they became friends because of Good Omens, and now just in like there was a whole skit during I think it was the BAFTAs this year, and like there was a whole bit how like David was babysitting Michael's dog, so he had to bring it to the BAFTAs, and he was carrying down the stairs, and then he because like Michael was like, "Oh, I've got a thing tonight," then he walks down the stairs, and like they're on the first row. It's like, what are you doing? And he says, "You get your dog, but what if I get the?" And David looks at him like, "Okay, yeah, I'll give you the dog."
I mean, you know, I think he might just be the Doctor because like in the special he goes into this fucking coma and then he gets woken up by a cup of tea. He like gets rejuvenated by it. It it truly something like that. If anything screams the Doctor, it would be him getting cured by a cup of tea. That's
Yeah, like he's just like me for real.
he could be dying. He's like what's that fucking guy's he like it's like that
I'm like,
Popeye.
I
He's like
sleep
fucking
real shit.
Popeye. He's he
That too, yeah.
yeah he eats some greens and he becomes fucking stronger. That's like the Doctor except British version. If you drink tea, you'll become stronger.
Plus the episode itself, like, it's I wouldn't say it's one of the weaker ones, but it's one of the more middling specials. Like if you go along, there's a ones, but
Yeah.
like first, it's really good, and as a first episode for a Doctor, it's really good because like he's out of action for most of it, and it's focusing more on Rose's
Yeah.
reaction to it, because this is like the audience reacting to like he just changed his face and his personality. Like, who is he?
Yeah, I do like how they made that adjustment from Eccleston to David Tennant because like if you weren't sure about Tennant as a character, you definitely will be once seeing the Christmas special. Like after seeing the Christmas special, I was immediately sold on him. I mean,
You know, like I mean, shit. I mentioned this, but someone who will not be named because they are wrong. And now, when they were first watched, um, uh, he he got to 10th episode, and like as soon as like that whole scene of him like basically characterizing himself in real time happened, he was like, "Yep, I'm sold." He's
yeah, it,
it's
the
like that's how you introduce characterization like in real time, and
yeah.
like he's wondering if he's a fighter or a runner, bro. Like he's left hand or right hand.
Yeah, but because like there's so many shows and so many pieces of media that try to introduce you to a character and you're just like not feeling it. You don't really feel the connection, like, and some of the audience doesn't. With David Tennant, everyone felt that connection instantly. I don't think I've like seen many people say that David Tennant sucks because most people.
Of just you're not on Doctor Who Twitter
Oh
then.
fuck.
There's a lot of contrarians on there who are like, oh, he's
I I I can't it's impossible for me to hate him. He's just such a likable
Like,
little
there's
lad.
like, he, like the writing helps, but like he's just such a likable actor, and his
Oh yeah.
delivery just it's so entertaining in some way. Like the way he talks is just so fun. Even in interviews, he's just a nice person to listen to.
Yeah, like he's such a light-hearted little fellow. Like it's impossible. For me, it's impossible for to hate this man. But
All I'll say is you'll see, like in the next series, you see ten go to dark fucking places.
I mean, this is a man who fought a fucking like he fought a leader of a alien spacecraft in his fucking pajamas, and he lost his hand while he was at it, and that
And he won.
yeah, and he won. And that hand comes into play like way late. I didn't even know that that hand would like even be prominent. I was like, oh, he lost his hand. Alrighty then. No, that thing is like super important later on, and I
And like when it happens in the episode, you just think it's a Star Wars reference.
yeah, I kind of did actually. I actually thought it was just some like a
Like
little weird
whenever
Star Wars
someone like
reference.
gets their hand cut clean off in a sword fight, I just think, oh, they're referencing Star Wars. Like
Uh,
even in my story, like that I'm building in my head, I have the characters get into like a lot of like sword fights in there, and they lose, and a couple characters have lost like a limb, and I basically like yeah, I just think, oh, yeah, loses limb, Star Wars bit, beat, but
it,
here it's like it actually plays into the story.
yeah, I mean like Star Wars and Doctor Who, they're kind of similar in areas, so it makes sense that Doctor Who would kind of reference Star Wars a bit, especially since it's like a pretty popular medium. It's like it was culture
Especially since
defining.
I think I might be wrong. Star Wars actually kind of took a little bit of influence
Oh really?
because there's a John Pertwee story where like it's like a speeder on like a sort of desertish sort of planet, and then like it's sort of desertish area, and like the shot is very similar to a setup in A New Hope, and it came out before it.
Oh
So like, not to say George Lucas like really was a big massive Doctor Who fan, but I feel like he might have seen it because like sci-fi.
yeah, I'm not sure what George Lucas is into it really, but I
I guess plus like even nowadays they reference Star because David Tennant is in, and like
is
for his character Ewing I think he's called.
yeah. I think.
Yeah, because his backstory is that someone in a blue box dropped off the robot in like at the Jedi Temple, basically implying the Doctor dropped him off.
it's it's kind of funny how everything we've covered so far is like kind of connected in some way to like Doctor Who or Star Wars or Dune, because
Yeah,
like Star Wars very much inspired by Dune. The prequels very much inspired by Dune because it's the chosen one and he becomes evil near the end. Except like
yeah.
I don't know what happens in Messiah, but like the chosen one in the prequels get stopped. I'm not sure if Paul gets stopped in the end. I think uh,
I'll not say, but if I'll not say.
I I'm just going to assume that like he dies maybe successful. I don't know, but the Star Wars obviously Star Wars obviously influenced probably by Doctor Who, definitely by Dune. Doctor Who, I mean, it's like Dune is the biggest sci-fi thing, so obviously like there'll probably be some influence by it. It's all coming together.
And like, Star Wars has literally had two Doctors in it because Tom Baker played the Bendu in Rebels.
Oh shit! Yeah, he did. Oh, yeah. I guess for it to come together, we'll have to cover Star Wars next. No, there's no fucking way. Wait,
No,
yeah, no,
no, unless we suddenly start watching Andor.
yeah,
No, thank you.
yeah. The like the like May the 4th has already been. I watched the
It's
OT.
it's May the 17th now. I think
Yeah.
it's a
Oh
bit
yeah,
far
fuck, it's
behind.
been weeks. Yeah, like May the I saw the OT for May the 4th, and it's like, like that was probably the best time as any to cover Star Wars. But I don't think either of us were really in the Star Wars mood. Like I wasn't actually in the Star Wars mood until after I watched the OT. I'm like, holy shit! I remember why I like Star Wars so much again. And this,
And that happened with me. Like, I watched Phantom Menace in cinemas and I was like, holy shit, I'm a Star Wars fan.
yeah,
And then a few days, and then it just sort of faded. And then, well, Doctor Who started kicking in again. And it's like, oh, well, now
yeah,
it's back to this.
yeah. Because like after I watched because the Revenge of the Sith was the only prequel that I hadn't seen. So one of my friends was like, "Hey, I'll show you the movie if you want," and it was actually it was surprisingly good. Like I expected it to be kind of bad. I feel like when it comes to Revenge of the Sith, a lot of people give it shit for the acting, which which is why some people claim it's bad. There are problems with it, the plot and everything, but the acting does kind of weigh it down a bit because if anyone has ever
Yeah.
said that plot is the only thing that matters in a movie, they're fucking lying because it's the acting that matters as well. Like you could have the best script in the world, and if your actor is fucking terrible,
Put it this way, that like George Lucas is good storyteller, just not a good people person.
yeah, no, like it, it's the thing with Revenge of the Sith. Like the plot for Revenge of the Sith, it's not like perfect or anything, but it's very good. But
Like,
put it,
yeah, I will just say, like, despite whatever flaws it has, it might not. I'm not sure if I'll say good, like, because like with the prequels, it's kind of like
yeah.
I don't really like to use like objective quality
Oh
measures,
yeah,
but like Revenge of the Sith, especially, it's the most entertaining.
yeah. I I like I feel like that the main reason like I feel like the prequels would be a lot better if the acting was pretty good. But that being said, Revenge of the Sith was very entertaining with some of the memes coming in. Like I was laughing my ass off when Anakin was saying shit like, "Hold on, this whole operation was your idea." it's, it's not even like that funny of a line. It's just the fact that like it's been memed to death is what made me laugh. It's and after watching Revenge of the Sith, that put me even more in a Star Wars mood. I was like, holy shit, I'm loving it. And yeah, after that, I was like, oh yeah, there's not really much else Star Wars wise to watch that is good other than like Andor. And yeah, I watched Andor and I was like, the Star Wars craze kind of wore off of me for a bit because unfortunately there isn't much like there isn't many good Star Wars media.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, kind of. That's the curse of liking Star Wars.
yeah,
Is that you get back on the train, like you sort of like, yeah, this is why I like it.
yeah,
You reach the end of it, and it's like, oh yeah,
yeah.
that's why I don't like it anymore.
Yeah, like my friend a few months ago showed me the Rise of Skywalker because I'd never seen. I gave up after TLJ. I was like, yeah, I'm not watching another one. And yeah, it definitely put me off of Star Wars for like a few months. Like I refused to watch anything Star Wars related. I was just like, yeah, this thing kind of fucking sucks. So yeah,
Mm.
I Disney Star Wars, anything Star Wars related, I'm not gonna watch. Like unless it's like Andor, uh, then yeah, I'm not gonna watch it. But oh my god, we keep on getting so off track. I keep like I I can definitely tell like we're a lot more passionate about like Tenet's Doctor and the series finale. Yeah, there are a lot of moments in series one that kind of feels like I don't want to say slow, but there are moments that it does what's the word for it? I don't want to. Is overstaying its welcome the one? I wouldn't say overstaying its welcome,
Mm,
but
I'm not sure because I think every piece of Series 1 like matters.
yeah.
Well, not well. The transphobia didn't matter, and the fatphobia
Well,
didn't matter. Not saying that, but like, I mean, every piece that built to the larger puzzle and piece
yeah,
mattered. Like every episode was necessary. Every plot was sort of necessary.
yeah. It's just some plots were definitely a lot more interesting than others. Like the
Yeah, exactly. The long game, absolutely necessary to set up
yeah.
Satellite 5 and
Oh
the
yeah,
whole idea of humanity stagnating and, like to return to it later and be like, what happened? And then the Doctor realizing he kind of fucked things up.
yeah,
And but the episode itself kind of made.
yeah. Exactly. Like I usually don't like throwing around the term mid because it it has this general consensus of like mid means bad, which doesn't really mean like mid doesn't really mean bad. It just
Mid doesn't mean bad, it just means alright.
yeah, like it. You'll probably have like a fine time watching it. Like it won't change your life or anything. You won't be blown away by it. It it'll just be a piece of me watching. Like, yeah, it was not that bad. That was pretty good. Yeah, I had a decent time with that. But bad is where you know you feel like you like. I don't like when people say, "Oh, I feel like my time was wasted in the theater watching that," because like I usually like giving like art a chance and everything, and like giving credit where credit is due because it just feels wrong to say like I wish I got my time back from watching that because like there in most pieces of media there is at least one thing uh that like it is good about a piece of media whether it be the music or the cinematography or whatever. um so I usually don't say like saying oh that was a like waste of my life, but it, but yes, sorry, fuck, I'm getting off topic again. Uh, so Harriet, what do we think of Harriet Jones? Uh,
Um,
like
well, let's not necessarily think on it. Like, it's interesting to see that payoff. Her family
yeah, I
working with Jung under the Tower of London, like really like being involved in that and seeing what could have led to that golden age of humanity,
yeah I
and then seeing that all that was just gone
yeah
because the new Doctor is like doesn't have any second chances and is willing to bend history just to prove a point.
yeah
Which I'll just say, not Spawn for Robot, could really come serious. Like it really comes ahead.
I I really do like how near the end of the episode, like Harriet Jones just like she destroys the retreating ship. Even though like the Doctor saved the day, they're not gonna come back. Uh, they still decide to like shoot the ship, and you can tell that the Doctor is just like, what the fuck, like it it's still that thing of the Doctor kind of not understanding human nature, because as much as the people might not like it, humans are very scared. Like they like we are very scared of anything happening.
Yeah, like just in the giggle of it, another episode of David Tennant. There's a whole bit where like, there's like this thing making everyone go kind of be a lot more on edge and stuff. And it like makes everyone. I don't want to say makes them bigoted, but like it amplifies the worst subconscious traits.
Yeah, it's kind of like
And like he goes on this thing how like it goes on this whole thing of like humans are great, you're amazing, but also you can hate very easily. Like in hate, you don't need any help to hate and
yeah,
be this superstitious of everyone. Like it's like humans are great, but also you suck a lot.
yeah. That's basically the the thing because it can, for the way you describe how it amplifies like people's like worst traits. It just sounds like the symbiote from Spider-Man. It,
I wouldn't say it's quite like the symbiote because it doesn't outright make you. That one just amplifies worst traits and makes you a bit of an asshole. This one just outright makes you a bad person.
oh shit.
Like, like, put it this way: there's a disabled character here who uses a wheelchair. She can still stand for a very brief time, move her legs and that, which the actor can do. And like a character like takes off the thing preventing her from having the giggle in her head, amplifying it. And she goes off saying, I've, and you in the wheelchair, I've seen you walking, don't deny it.
What the fuck?
And she sees Donna and Mel, the two redhead. You two with red hair. Is this some conspiracy?
Oh, they'd give Emo Parker a run for his money in terms of
And
assholeness.
it happens to the current prime minister, and he just goes off saying, "Why should I care about you?"
Oh my
Although,
god.
although, as Donna says, that's not too different from real life.
I mean, yeah, the people are very can be very over dramatic. Not
But yeah, basically, like the whole thing of Hard Drones is that, yeah, and the thing is, I think even nine would probably act the exact same way.
yeah, yeah. I can see it, to be honest. Like I do like in this episode when like even though he works with Harriet Jones and everything, and even though they are allies, he's still willing to like stand against her. Eat like, but because like sometimes when people just do shit wrong, when they're at your allies, they sometimes they just don't say anything, but like it really like it really establishes this character of the Doctor. Like he really stands up for doing the right thing or what he believes to be the right thing. I I and it shows that not only can he just be a kind of witty character, but he can also be quite serious when the time arises for him to be serious, which I really like about him. But uh, I mean, uh, isn't this the episode where the Christmas trees turn into like fucking killer robots?
Yeah, I'm gonna get killed by a Christmas tree.
I yeah that I to be fair, like I don't really remember much about this episode other than the final act and the Doctor being asleep for most of the episode. Like other than that, I'm like I don't really remember this Christmas special too much. Like if you ask me about the Titanic uh Christmas special, for example, or like if you ask me about either the Titanic Christmas special, or if you ask me about what's the name, the Runaway Bride. If you ask me about those two, I can remember them a lot more. The 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 Christmas Invasion I don't really remember too much of, and
Yeah, it's like they were still working out the Kingston. Plus, it
mm.
acts a little bit more like a character-focused role
Oh
while
yeah,
introducing the Doctor. So it's like it's not really all too Christmas specially.
yeah, like the, this show, like the series definitely, like series 2 definitely irons out is definitely ironing out a lot of the kinks, because like stuff like New Earth, for example, we'll get to that. We'll get to that next time, but goodness, New Earth is it,
Yeah.
especially with Cassandra being back. Yahoo!
Who? But is that everything? Or is there anything else you want to mention?
Uh, no, I guess we could. I guess we could give our overall thoughts on series 1. I think we have been doing that, but
Yeah, but you go for it.
Uh,
You go for
I I I I will say that I think that series one is very good. I it it does a very good job at engaging you on Doctor Who, but because like the first episode, it's a very easy watch. Like you can put on any episode of series one and you'll probably have a fine time. Apart from maybe parts of episode two, episode the fart jokes can, you know, also might be a hard watch when you're watching like the World War Three, uh, the World War Three trilogy. But other than that, I feel like it's a very fun watch. It's overall a good time. It's not the best. It's not the best series by any means, but it definitely is. For what it manages to do in such a short amount of time is very impressive, considering the time constraints and the pressure of trying to live up to being this reboot that will you know that has to be better than you know what happened with Old Who and how it ended so badly. Like there was a lot of pressure on it, and how it ended up, like I said before, how it ended up being so good is impressive, and that that on its own deserves uh, bonus points for me. But yeah, I think it's very good.
it. Well, I guess like for one, as like just a season of TV, it is so incredibly solid. Like it is just, it might be one of like the most solid just blocks of TV I've ever seen. Like it's just, it's an absolute marvel in that way. With has a concrete beginning and end, and just if you watch it as a self-contained thing, it's just fantastic. but but also as a series of Doctor Who, it's great. Like it's just like it has a mystery. It has its fun play with the Daleks. It introduces, also dabbles with the Autons, creates some iconic new enemies, and really steps into the political uh, intrigue that Doctor Who has always done. And as an opening season for Doctor Who is like the thing to really kick it off. Like it's an, it's an absolute marvel, to be honest. Like it's an absolute miracle this thing even worked, that it even managed to be as good as it is, that it managed to kick off a show that's still technically going 20 years later.
It just shows that like Doctor Who is kind of like it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be around for generations to come. Basically, like it's going to be hard to get rid of Doctor Who. I'd say, like
Yeah, like everyone says RIP Doctor Who, or Doctor Who 2005 to 2017.
yeah,
It is not gonna go away that easy. Like even during
no,
the Whittaker, there was rumblings that might be, they managed to they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, got it worked out, and now with RTD, I can see it lasting until like 2027 or like 2029 something.
yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
Like
even then,
like even then, like chances are he'll pick a good successor. Like Moffat, like might have had some bad. He was the best pick for a successor, and I
yeah,
imagine he'll do the same here, but not pick Moffat. Preferably someone who isn't 62,
yeah.
or and will be like 70 when he steps down.
I I feel like we really need what we really need is a really good um woman doctor, because we had Jodie Whittaker, and like that from what I've heard, she isn't great. I feel like maybe not immediately, because like people are still souring on the Whittaker era, but at some point maybe as like the maybe like a couple like a doctor or two after like Shooty, they should try with a female doctor again, because I think that it's a really great idea to have to include if like there's been too many male doctors like that.
Yeah, I need Tania Miller as a doctor.
I I'm yeah. If there's two things we need, I I I need a really good female doctor, and I need Edgar Wright to at least direct one episode, and Mike Flanagan to direct.
No, well, for one, yes, to Mike Flanagan writing and directing. So please, for the love of
Yeah.
God, RTD, introduce Halloween specials. Like
Oh.
that. That's just begging to be made a thing, and begging to get horror writers in.
Oh my god! Imagine if if Mike Flanagan did a Halloween special every single fucking year. That would be awesome.
And like make him like the new Moffat, like the person that you don't really touch his scripts. He's like the consistent guy who gets a guest spot every year. Like that would fuck.
Yeah, and I know Mike Flanagan can't do his thing with like cats because he likes cats, but he does weird things with them in his shows. Like he has fucking dead cats strung across the beach. Probably can't do that for the Halloween special, but he probably could
Mm,
string along dead aliens like across like I don't know the ground or something. Either way, I I think he has a really good shot at directing some great Halloween specials. Like the way he shoots everything, just let him do his thing. To be honest, like if there's anything that you should give like complete total free range over it, it would be Mike Flanagan. Like that, Edgar Wright, maybe even Edgar Wright as well. But you know, maybe it should just be directing. Who knows? Like, Edgar Wright's a good writer, but I who knows what you know, I don't know what he could do with
yeah,
Doctor
to be honest, like if he was to write something, I probably want him.
Who.
Like if he was to get like a Doctor Who movie adaptation or a movie, I'd want him to do it. Like
Yeah,
make it make it kind of like the TV movie, but on like a cinematic budget, max scale. Like bring in like I don't know, like a previous Doctor, like the current Doctor, have them like maybe regenerate into a new Doctor that they can give complete and total free reign over, and then do that, and do it with Edgar Wright or Chris, whoever. Like that's how I do a Doctor Who movie. Or if it's like
yeah.
an on like the '60s Doctor Who movies, where it's like it's non-canon to the main series, just do whatever, then I'd be fine with that too.
Oh yeah. Speaking of like earlier on we were talking about like how like it was the big finish, like the like the, this friend of mine who is like making me go through the big finish and like all of Doctor Who also was making me watch the movies as well, like the non-canon stuff. So I
Why? No, I just gotta ask why.
he the he's a completionist as all I was. He even gave me Doctor Who comics, like the like a bunch of Doctor Who comics to read, and I was like, what the fuck? Like the when I was reading them, I was like, oh yeah, this shouldn't be too bad. Just like give me as much as possible. They are long fucking comics. Some of them are like like 100 or like 200 pages long. It was fucking insane. I thought they would be like short stories that.
Yeah, maybe you're better off just with me, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think so as well, because like I honestly I love Doctor Who, but I if I did Doctor Who that way, I'm pretty sure I'd get burnt out like very easily on the show, which like you know is something that I don't really want to happen. Like I'll still like finish like old Doctor Who in my own time because I still like I can appreciate old Doctor Who a lot more than most. I think it is very impressive with what they did on a budget. Like with what they did with the Daleks, there was like there's an episode where it's kind of like a Honey I Shrunk the Kids type thing where they become really small for an episode. Like it's stuff like that I'm really impressed by. Uh, how they pulled off in the '60s. It's like obviously it's some really dated shit, but the it's just something to appreciate. I love watching old movies and old shit because it makes me appreciate them a lot more and what they were able to do on a budget. Uh, old bad movies especially, but yeah, for now I'm gonna stick with New Who. I'll probably try and finish Old Who when I finish New Who because I'm not exactly in a rush to finish it. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not exactly something I'm dying to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I think that's a good note to leave
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. That's what I was about to say. Yeah, I feel like this is definitely a good note to end on. Like we've covered basically everything in nearly 3.5 hours. So you know, uh, Jesus Christ, that I I was joking about how it'd become like 3 hours, but like I actually thought we were doing a pretty good job at like getting through them, but I I guess we had a lot more to say than I thought because I thought
We just ramble a lot and have a few tangents.
yeah I feel like that's how it became so long, but yeah I feel like I, I definitely think series 2 will be a bit shorter. Uh, at at the at the least, I feel like it'd be 3 hours, but I feel like we could probably cover in two, because like a lot of season 2, I mean series 2, is mainly episodes that you probably won't think about that much, like episodes like
Yeah.
Fear Her or Love and Monsters. Like Fear Her is a fun one,
Yeah, like
but you're not gonna think about
it's
it really.
it's it's both really memorable and really unmemorable.
That's how I describe season 2. Like it's some episodes are some of the most memorable episodes ever, like the Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit and shit like that. But then you have shit like the Idiot's Lantern, and you're just like, oh okay, like
Yeah. Whereas that's one I'd rather forget.
yeah. But then you got episodes like The Girl in the Fireplace, where it's like, oh my god, this is like truly incredible, and then you'll just have other episodes like New Earth. It's a very weird season of television, if I'm gonna be honest. Like it's yeah, I would say series 1 has a very consistent quality to it. I'd say it's series 2 feels a bit more all over the place, but I kind of like it at the same time for it being all over the place. I've I feel like I have a weird relationship with series 2. The series 3 feel like is probably the best one so far, because it feels like uh series 3 is where it really has that style going for it. Like it knows what it wants to do. It, it's found its footing, and it's not like, it's the goofy episodes are goofy, but they're not like terribly bad. Like the Lazarus Pit, was it the Lazarus Pit? No, the Lazarus
Mhm.
Experiment. Uh, like that one, while it isn't particularly like the best episode, I still really like parts of it. Like there's really cool ideas, but but yeah. Yeah. I don't know exactly what we'll be doing for next time, but we'll definitely be covering series 2 at some point. I yeah. I guess I'll do you want to end it off? I'm
Yeah, I'll end it off. Thanks for sticking around for us rambling about series for Doctor Who series. We're still on things out, still working out the kinks. But if you'll stick with us, you'll hopefully not regret it. But we'll have when. But as for episode 3, or technically 2, because it's a 2-part episode. But
Yeah,
as for the next episode, we'll do that when we have an idea.
yeah,
We'll do that when we have an idea. Like we're not in the biggest rush to get these done. We just do it when we think we have the spark, really.
yeah, exactly. Like we have an overabundance of ideas, and with stuff like House of the Dragon season 2 coming out soon, a lot of other stuff, not like Mad Max Furiosa is coming out, which should there's a lot of stuff coming out actually. So we're not exactly in the biggest rush to like get something out because we've got so many.
Yeah, like b- basically we have a lot of hyperfixations coming our way, and it's hard to pick and choose what we want to focus on.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. All I can say is that we're not going to be running out of episodes anytime soon. That's all I'll say. We've got like a ton of stuff
It's
planned.
just it's just I don't know. We're not in we're not rushing this. We're not gonna like force ourselves to record
Yeah,
anything of that sort. It's just this is just us having fun. We're not gonna force us, but
yeah,
hopefully within like we should have an idea. Like I don't want to say relatively soon, but not ages.
yeah. Like I like the 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 minimum amount of time you could expect is probably a week, but it'd probably take longer. Like you know,
I mean,
whenever we feel like it.
I'd say around maybe like 2 to 3 ish weeks,
Yeah, that's
maybe like a month at the most.
yeah. Like again, not exactly the biggest rush. We probably won't do series 2 next because we'll probably want a bit of variety before we do
We'll want
series
to.
2.
We'll not do uh other thing, Other thing, Doctor Who. I feel like that'll get a bit stale. Like
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like if we do like a couple other things than Doctor Who, um,
plus it gives us a chance to get because we're only on series 4 right now, so
yeah,
gives us a chance
exactly.
to get through it all.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise it's gonna be like, oh, we got to finish this series now because otherwise it's gonna, because otherwise we're not gonna make it on time. It's you know, it, we don't want to get we don't want to make the formula a bit stale.
We're not gonna force a deadline on ourselves. Is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, exactly. Like, the,
But that should be all for now. So
yeah,
yes, thanks for watching and listening or doing whatever. Um, be sure to support us on Twitter on the little dinky account we've got set up, and be
yeah,
sure to like and subscribe and comment.
yeah,
Yeah, God, I feel like a sellout.
yeah. Do the YouTube thing. Do what feels comfortable for you. Like, I always hate telling people to like and subscribe and shit because I always feel like one of those fucking asshole YouTubers who is like, yeah, give me money, please. It's like that's why I usually say at the end of like my videos because it's just like, it.
well, this is the end, so
That's
that's
true.
why we're doing it here.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it, yeah, but support us basically.
Yeah, like, support us, but please subscribe so we can get monetized
Yeah, that's
and
true.
make money.
Give us money basically. Give us all your money.
Just to quote a very wise businessman, I like money.
Yeah, if you could get, yeah, if you should we do one of those like should we be like one of those pyramid scheme people who are like if you give us money you'll be rich for life. Maybe, maybe that wouldn't be bit.
Dude, I'm British. My country is poor as it is, and don't want to make that one.
I mean, to be honest, like we're both like I am part British, so I guess what we could do is just like we're speaking about our plan, and, and the pod.
We probably should have done this after we
That's true.
stopped pressing record, right?
Yeah. Pretend you didn't hear anything. We're not gonna scam you whatsoever.
Just the little penguins in Madagascar bit, just for you didn't see anything.
Oh, I fucking love those penguins. But yeah, yes. Thank you, thank you all for watching, and like Evie said, support us if you can. And yeah, we'll see you when we see you.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Goodbye.